A Texas woman is deeply unsettled after her home security camera captured a disturbing incident outside her residence. The footage reveals an unidentified individual wearing a horned goat mask, ominously holding a sign displaying a Bible verse about the end times. The homeowner, whose identity has been withheld for security reasons, had gone out to dinner with her husband on January 18th when the encounter took place near West Hebron Parkway. In the video, the masked figure can be seen walking through the side yard before approaching the front door. Dressed in a red, demonic-looking mask, the person carried a sign referencing a passage often linked to Judgment Day, the lake of fire, and the final defeat of Satan. The sight of the stranger standing at her doorstep with such an ominous message has left the woman feeling terrified in her own home. The homeowner said she was afraid to go outside. She explained that she and her husband had stopped for dinner and purchased a Powerball ticket on their way home, only to later review Ring camera footage showing the unsettling encounter. The video captures the masked intruder knocking on the door, staring directly into the camera and deliberately pointing at the sign, seemingly emphasizing its message. A local resident, Scott Gairn, who came across the footage after it was posted on the Nextdoor neighborhood app, was equally disturbed. Another neighbor, Gloria Johns, expressed concern over the incident, stating that they have lived there for years and they've never seen anything like this. The verse displayed on the intruder's sign originates from the Book of Revelation, a chapter in the Bible that describes apocalyptic events and the ultimate triumph over evil. According to researchers, the passage depicts Satan's final downfall and the restoration of justice for the faithful. The reference to such a passage, combined with the masked figure's appearance and actions, has left many unsettled. The Carrollton Police Department has been notified, but authorities concluded that no crime had been committed. Since the individual did not break any barriers, ignore warnings, or remain on private property after being asked to leave, their actions do not legally constitute trespassing. Despite the lack of legal consequences, the homeowner remains deeply shaken by the encounter. The mystery of the Persian princess. In the year 2000, an extraordinary discovery in Pakistan sparked an international dispute between Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. At the center of the controversy was what was initially believed to be the mummified remains of a 2,600-year-old Persian princess. The discovery quickly became a sensation, drawing the attention of historians, archaeologists, and governments eager to claim ownership of what seemed to be an unprecedented archaeological find. However, as experts began to examine the remains more closely, doubts arose about the authenticity of the mummy, leading to a shocking revelation that turned the story from one of historical significance into a gruesome crime mystery. The mummy was unearthed during a police raid at the home of a Baluchistan chieftain in Karan, Pakistan. Authorities suspected that the relic was being sold on the black market, with estimates suggesting it could fetch millions of dollars. Upon its discovery, the mummy was adorned with a golden crown, and her coffin contained gold ornaments, making it appear as though she had been a figure of great importance, possibly royalty from ancient Persia. If the mummy were authentic, it would have been one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in the region's history, providing valuable insight into ancient Persian burial practices. However, not everyone was convinced by the discovery. Among the skeptics was Professor Ahmad Dani, the director of the Institute of Asian Civilizations in Islamabad. From the very beginning, he suspected that something was amiss, stating that the remains did not align with known burial customs from the Persian period. His skepticism prompted a more detailed analysis of the mummy, which ultimately unraveled a macabre deception. Upon closer examination, experts found several inconsistencies that cast doubt on the authenticity of the mummy. The first red flag was the coffin itself, which was far too modern to be from 2,600 years ago. Further investigations revealed that the mat on which the mummy rested was no older than 5 years, immediately discrediting the claim that the body was from antiquity. These inconsistencies led experts to suspect that the body was not ancient at all, but rather that of a recently deceased individual. To determine the true age of the remains, scientists conducted radiocarbon dating, which confirmed that the woman had passed away in 1996, not in ancient times. Further examination of the body revealed signs of trauma, indicating that the so-called Persian princess was actually a victim. Her neck, jaw, and back were broken, suggesting that the end of her life was violent. Instead of an archaeological treasure, the discovery had become a forensic investigation into the fate of an unidentified young woman, believed to be around 21 years old at the time of her passing. The shocking revelation left many unanswered questions. Who was this woman? Why was her body mummified and placed in an elaborate coffin? And most disturbingly, who was responsible? Unfortunately, despite the widespread interest and investigation, her identity remains unknown to this day. The authorities were unable to trace her origins, and no one came forward to claim her remains. The case also exposed the dark underbelly of the antiquities black market, where forgers and smugglers create fake relics to sell for enormous profits. In this instance, the scheme had been taken to a disturbing extreme, as someone had gone to great lengths to disguise a modern murder victim as an ancient artifact. Whether the perpetrators intended to profit from the sale or simply cover up a crime remains a mystery. With no further leads, the authorities eventually decided to give the victim a proper burial. In 2005, the so-called Persian princess was laid to rest, her identity and the circumstances of her passing still unknown. What began as an astonishing archaeological discovery had ended as a tragic, unsolved murder case, highlighting the need for greater scrutiny in the field of historical artifact authentication. The story of the Persian mummy remains one of the most bizarre and chilling cases in modern history, serving as a stark reminder that not all ancient discoveries are as they seem. While the case may never be fully solved, it stands as a testament to the importance of scientific investigation and the pursuit of truth, even when the answers are not what we expect. The mystery of the Circleville letters. In 1976, the peaceful community of Circleville, Ohio, found itself at the center of a mysterious and unnerving series of events that would come to be known as the Circleville letters case. What began as a few anonymous letters containing personal and sensitive information rapidly escalated into a convoluted tale of threats and accusations. Even decades later, the identity of the letter writer remains unknown, leaving this bizarre case unsolved and its motives shrouded in secrecy. The trouble began when several Circleville residents received letters detailing intimate knowledge of their lives. The letters, postmarked from Columbus, Ohio, arrived without any return address, and all were written in a distinctive style, block letters, perhaps to disguise the author's actual handwriting. The content was aggressive and unsettling, containing threats of violence and exposing private details that, in many cases, were known only to the recipients. The letters were peppered with vulgar language and occasionally included crude illustrations, lending a sinister air to their delivery. One of the earliest and most significant targets of these letters was Mary Gillespie, a local school bus driver. Mary received an alarming letter accusing her of having an affair with the superintendent of schools, a claim that she firmly denied. The writer insisted that they had been watching Mary's house, knew about her children, and warned her to end the alleged affair or face dire consequences. Understandably shaken, Mary chose to keep the letters a secret, but it wasn't long before her husband, Ron Gillespie, received a similarly threatening letter. This one explicitly warned Ron that if he did not intervene and put a stop to his wife's supposed affair, his life would be in danger. Initially, the couple tried to ignore the letters, hoping the situation would resolve on its own, but the letters didn't stop. In fact, they grew more menacing and pervasive. Mary and Ron began to suspect that the person behind the letters was Paul Freshour, Ron's brother-in-law, believing that family tensions may have played a role. They sent a letter of their own, accusing Freshour of being the mysterious writer. For a brief period, the letters ceased, leading the couple to believe they had confronted the right person. However, the peace was short-lived, and the letters soon resumed, more ominous than ever. The case took a tragic turn on August 19, 1977, when Ron Gillespie passed away in what was initially described as a car accident. That evening, Ron had received a mysterious phone call that seemed to agitate him. Without hesitation, he grabbed his pistol and stormed out of the house, telling his children that he was going to confront the letter writer. Hours later, his vehicle was found crashed into a tree, and Ron was no longer alive. Although his passing was ruled an accident, several aspects of the incident raised suspicions. For one, his pistol had been fired once, though no one knew why or at whom. Additionally, the letters that followed his death demanded a more thorough investigation, suggesting that foul play had been involved. In the years that followed, the letters continued to plague Circleville residents, casting a shadow over the entire town. The harassment culminated in an even more sinister event in 1983. While driving her school bus route, Mary Gillespie noticed a suspicious sign along the road, making lewd accusations about her daughter. When she stopped to remove the sign, she discovered that it was rigged with a booby trap, a loaded weapon designed to fire when the sign was tampered with. Fortunately, the trap malfunctioned, and Mary escaped unharmed. Investigators traced the gun to Paul Freshour, Mary's brother-in-law, who had long been a person of interest in the case. Freshour denied any involvement, but the circumstantial evidence was enough for him to be charged. He was convicted and sentenced to 25 years in prison. However, the case took another baffling turn when, even with Freshour behind bars, the letters continued. They were still postmarked from Columbus, even though Freshour was incarcerated in a different location and no mail had been sent from the prison. This led many to question whether Freshour was truly responsible for the letters or if the real writer was still at large. The Circleville letters case caught the attention of the national media, including the popular television show Unsolved Mysteries. As the show investigated the peculiar events, they received a postcard, allegedly from the original letter writer, demanding that they stay away from Circleville and threatening consequences if they interfered. The postcard read, "Forget Circleville, Ohio. Do nothing to hurt Sheriff Radcliffe. If you come to Ohio, you sickos will pay. The Circleville writer." The audacity of the message only fueled the public's fascination with the case, as it suggested that the writer was still actively monitoring anyone who took an interest in the story. Despite Freshour's conviction, many in Circleville and beyond remained convinced that the true writer was never caught. Was there a mastermind behind the scenes, orchestrating the letters from afar? Or was the author someone entirely different, taking advantage of the chaos to continue the harassment? The letters ceased in 1994, and to this day, their source remains unidentified. Soldiers turned into stone by cosmic beings. They say that truth is often stranger than fiction. It's well known that many unusual events take place in our world, yet much of this information remains hidden from the general public. We only learn about these occurrences when officials choose to go on record, offering rare glimpses into subjects that are otherwise kept in the shadows. Some argue that certain information is withheld for good reason, particularly when it concerns national security or sensitive government operations. However, those with an interest in mysterious and unexplained topics frequently express their desire for greater transparency and access to concealed knowledge. This is where the Freedom of Information Act plays a crucial role. In recent years, it has helped online researchers uncover bizarre and mysterious cases that might have otherwise remained undisclosed. Under the Freedom of Information Act request, anyone can submit a request for records, reports, and other documents held by federal agencies. Interestingly, in recent years, hundreds of thousands of government documents have been made publicly available online, sometimes without much public awareness. One particularly unsettling report describes an incident in Siberia in 1993, where 23 soldiers allegedly encountered 5 humanoid beings. According to the document, the interaction took a deadly turn, resulting in the disappearance of the soldiers. This chilling account, like many other declassified records, raises important questions about what truly happens behind closed doors and how much information the public is allowed to know. The document details the following. After Mikhail Gorbachev dissolved in 1991, the KGB Top Secret Intelligence Administration, a lot of material from that department found their way abroad, in particular to the CIA. As reported by the authoritative magazine, United States intelligence obtained a 250-page file on the attack of a UFO on a military unit in Siberia. The file contains not only many documentary photographs and drawings, but also testimonies by actual participants in the events. One of the Central Intelligence Agency representatives referred to this case as a horrific picture of revenge on the part of extraterrestrial creatures, a picture that makes one's blood freeze. According to the KGB material, a quite low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer appeared above a military unit that was conducting routine training maneuvers. For unknown reasons, Someone unexpectedly launched a surface-to-air missile, and it hit the UFO. It fell to Earth not far away, and 5 short humanoids with large heads and large black eyes emerged from it. It is stated in the testimonies by the 2 soldiers who remained alive that, after freeing themselves from the debris, the aliens came close together and then merged into a single object that acquired a spherical shape. That object began to buzz and hiss sharply, and then became brilliant white. In a few seconds, the spheres grew much bigger and exploded by flaring up with an extremely bright light. At that very instant, 23 soldiers who had watched the phenomenon turned into stone poles. Only 2 soldiers who stood in the shade and were less exposed to the luminous explosion survived. The KGB report goes on to say that the remains of the UFO and the petrified soldiers were transferred to a secret scientific research institution near Moscow. Specialists assume that a source of energy that is still unknown to Earthlings instantly changes the structure of the soldiers' living organisms, having transformed it into a substance whose molecular composition is no different from that of limestone. A Central Intelligence Agency representative stated, "If the KGB file corresponds to reality, this is an extremely menacing case. The aliens possess such weapons and technology that go beyond all our assumptions. They can stand up for themselves if attacked." End quote. The mystery of Betty Andreasson. The Betty Andreasson case remains one of the most fascinating and detailed accounts of extraterrestrial contact in modern history. Her story began on the evening of January 25, 1967, in South Ashburnham, Massachusetts, when an unexplained pink light illuminated her home, followed by a brief power outage. Inside the house, Andreasson, her 7 children, and her visiting parents gathered in the kitchen, unaware that their lives were about to take an unexplainable turn. Andreasson's father, noticing the pink glow outside, looked out the back window and saw several small humanoid figures that he described as resembling Halloween-like creatures. While he took note of them, he did not act, nor did anyone in the household recall anything particularly unusual the following morning. However, in the weeks that followed, Betty began experiencing strange flashbacks, visions of humanoid beings, and an unfamiliar, otherworldly environment. These fragmented memories left her with an unshakable feeling that something beyond her understanding had occurred that night. The kids would be told to wait in the living room by Betty. From the lights, Betty's father could see a number of humanoid creatures coming towards him. Then, one of them appeared directly outside the window. When it turned to face him, Betty's father seemed to enter a peculiar state of suspended animation, akin to a trance. He wouldn't recall the encounter any further. Abruptly, the 5 humanoids entered the Andreassons' house through the walls. Betty would say that they seemed to fade in and out of existence as they passed through the walls. Like Betty's father, everyone in the house except for Betty was put into a state of suspended animation. Then they invited her to go outdoors with them, but out of concern for her family's safety, one of the humanoids had to take one of the kids, Becky, out of her suspended state to demonstrate that they wouldn't be harmed. Betty followed these mysterious beings once it was shown that her family was safe. She felt obliged to do so, as she would later explain. To protect the house and the other Andreasson family members, one of the creatures would stay behind. Betty would follow her otherworldly guides and float through the kitchen's solid wood door without knowing how she accomplished it. She drifted in an oval-shaped craft, and before she could completely comprehend her surroundings, she sensed a change in speed as the craft shot skyward. Betty explained that before going into a tank of liquid, a number of tests and procedures were conducted. Additionally, she was given a strange substance to drink that was supposed to calm her down. Before she knew it, she was floating in the direction of another room. She was greeted by a chorus of odd voices who informed her of their decision to display a significant global event. After this, Betty would return home to find the humanoids still there, but now methodically putting everyone in the family in their beds. Everyone remained in their days. As Betty saw these things happen, one of the humanoids would say that although they were there to aid humanity, people would be afraid of them. Additionally, Betty stated that she was informed that these animals were not constrained by time. Betty wouldn't start to remember what had happened that night until 10 years later. Even yet, everything returned in full except for the weird lights and the 5 creatures entering the room when she experienced hypnotic regression under Dr. Raymond Fowler's supervision. Between January 1977 and January 1978, she experienced her first series of hypnotic regressions over a 12-month period. Despite the fact that she would continue to see Dr. Fowler for sessions well into the 1990s, the stories of her initial encounter were intriguing, perhaps not least because of the volume of circumstantial, if supporting, evidence that would give them credibility. For instance, Betty would say that her husband's hospitalization after a vehicle accident was the reason her parents were with her. This is supported by hospital records, which document her husband's admission between mid-January and early March 1967. She also remembered that there was fog and snow on the ground, but the air was warmer than it should have been. Temperature increases caused mist to rise from melting snow, according to weather records. At the same time that Betty remembered the power being out in their house, there was also a power outage in the area that evening. Her father could remember a child in a Halloween costume peering through the window, but he was in a trance during the entire experience. Even television schedule records would demonstrate that their claims about what was broadcast on television before the occurrence were accurate. Other experiences Betty would share with Dr. Fowler in later sessions. She was only 7 years old in 1944 when she had her first encounter. An odd red orb entered the tiny play area and sat between her eyes while she was waiting for a buddy in a playhouse. Her head started to ring as it did so, alerting her to the strange voices that were observing her. They also promised to get together again when she turned 12, which they did in 1949, 5 years later. A grey creature wearing a one-piece coverall covered with buttons and symbols emerged in front of her as she was strolling in a woodland in the adjacent town of Westminster. A crimson orb appeared when it clicked a button on its coverall. As before, the orb landed between her eyes on her face. Once more, the unfamiliar but now recognizable voices invaded her mind. She would have one of the most strange sightings in history a year later, in 1950, when she was confronted by an orb-like object. After she boarded, a peculiar device was inserted into her mouth to restrain her tongue. She ended up on a strange wheel composed of something that looked like rubber. The craft would emerge in an underground base after entering a body of water, but she was unsure of the exact location. Betty would disclose an increasing number of experiences as the hypnosis sessions re-examined the decades. She recounted multiple instances of waking up to discover uncanny things in her bedroom. She would even get warnings about difficult things that were coming up in her life. For instance, she was told by a bedroom visitor in 1975 that her marriage would result in divorce, which it did. In 1977, 2 years later, she received a warning that 2 of her sons would pass away. Both lost their lives in an automobile accident a short time later. In December 2018, a remarkable event unfolded in the skies above one of the most secure and well-known locations on Earth, the Pentagon. According to numerous eyewitness accounts, a large pyramid-shaped object was seen hovering above the Pentagon during the night, seemingly defying gravity and the usual understanding of aerial technology. This mysterious object was reportedly caught on camera from various angles by multiple witnesses, and the footage soon found its way to social media platforms, where it quickly went viral. The event was discussed widely, with many speculating about the origin and purpose of the UFO. However, in the years since the sighting, especially by 2024, much of the footage and photographic evidence has become increasingly difficult to find, leading some to suggest that the majority of this evidence has been quietly deleted from the internet, raising suspicions about a potential cover-up. The pyramid-shaped UFO spotted above the Pentagon in 2018 immediately stood out due to both its unusual shape and its location. The object was described as being massive in size, stationary, and hovering directly above the Pentagon, a symbol of US military power. Multiple reports stated that the object was either emitting a faint glow or reflecting light from the surrounding city. The event took place at night, making the illumination of the object even more conspicuous against the dark sky. What made this particular UFO sighting stand out even more was the number of angles from which the object was reportedly filmed. Various witnesses across different parts of Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia captured images and videos of the object from their phones, providing multiple perspectives of the event. These videos circulated widely on social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The pyramid shape of the UFO led to a flurry of speculation online, with theories ranging from experimental military technology to extraterrestrial visitors. For a brief time, the Pentagon UFO became a viral sensation, attracting the attention of not only UFO enthusiasts, but also mainstream media. Some news outlets covered the sighting, though coverage was generally cautious, focusing more on the strange nature of the event, rather than offering any definitive explanation. Initial attempts by skeptics to debunk the footage were met with difficulty, as the object did not conform to conventional explanations like weather balloons, drones, or aircraft. Despite the initial excitement surrounding the pyramid-shaped UFO sighting, by 2024, finding the original videos and images has become an increasingly difficult task. Searches for footage on popular video-sharing platforms and social media yield few results, and many of the original posts appear to have been taken down. Even on discussion forums like Reddit and UFO-specific websites, references to the event are often accompanied by broken links or claims that videos have been removed. This slow disappearance of evidence has sparked speculation that the footage may have been deliberately suppressed or deleted. While it is not uncommon for some content to be removed from the internet for various reasons, such as copyright issues or inactivity, the near-total erasure of evidence related to such a significant sighting has raised eyebrows. Many UFO enthusiasts have pointed to this as a potential cover-up, suggesting that authorities may have acted to suppress the evidence due to the sensitive location of the sighting, or because the object represented advanced technology that needed to remain classified. The idea that much of the footage has been erased from the internet adds a layer of intrigue to the event. In today's hyper-connected world, it is exceedingly rare for something as public as a UFO sighting, especially one witnessed and filmed by multiple people, to effectively disappear. The difficulty in locating footage of the pyramid-shaped UFO has given rise to theories that government agencies or private contractors may have intervened to remove the content. With the footage of the event now scarce, speculation has intensified about what really happened over the Pentagon in December 2018. One popular theory is that the object was an advanced piece of military technology, possibly part of a secretive program to develop new types of aircraft or defense systems. The Pentagon has long been associated with clandestine research and development projects, and some believe that the pyramid-shaped UFO was a prototype of a new craft that had not yet been disclosed to the public. According to this theory, the sudden removal of the footage is part of an effort to maintain secrecy surrounding this technology. Another theory, more favored by UFO enthusiasts, is that the object was not of earthly origin, but rather an extraterrestrial craft. The pyramid shape, which is less common in UFO sightings than the traditional saucer or triangular shapes, has led some to suggest that the object may represent a type of advanced technology that has not been widely encountered before. Advocates of this theory point to the location of the sighting, the Pentagon, as potentially significant. If advanced visitors were interested in observing human military power or conducting reconnaissance, the Pentagon would be a logical place for such an observation. Others have suggested that the object might have been part of a joint human extraterrestrial project. This theory, often dismissed as too speculative, posits that secret collaborations between government agencies and alien visitors could be taking place, and that the pyramid-shaped object was one manifestation of this cooperation. According to this line of thinking, the removal of footage would be necessary to prevent the public from becoming aware of such activities. The difficulty in finding images and footage of the 2018 Pentagon UFO has led many to question whether a deliberate effort has been made to erase this event from public memory. While some point to technical reasons for the disappearance, such as social media platforms automatically deleting old posts or users voluntarily removing content, others see a more deliberate hand at work. The fact that footage of a large pyramid-shaped object hovering above one of the most secure buildings in the world is now nearly impossible to find only deepens the sense that something is being hidden. The mystery of the sunken city of Cuba. A group of explorers started a survey and exploration expedition along Cuba's western coast a little more than 10 years ago. While on their journey, they came across a bewildering collection of rock formations almost 650 meters below the surface of the ocean, thanks to their sophisticated sonar technology. These formations, with their symmetrical stone arrangement evoking an ordered metropolitan growth, were prominent among the otherwise desolate ocean floor. The media was immediately drawn to the find, leading to headlines such as "Lost City of the Caribbean Found" and "Atlantis Discovered in Cuba." The government, National Geography, and the National Museum all promised to look into these fascinating sonar photographs in great detail as a result of the findings' significance. The public's focus ultimately went away from the finding, though, and the story eventually lost its prominence despite the initial fervor around it. A decade later, the astounding discovery is still mainly unexplored and has not been the subject of much follow-up research. There is still much to learn about the destiny of these mysterious undersea constructions and their possible historical importance. In 2001, Pauline Zalitsky and her husband, Paul Weinsweig, who owned the Canadian company Advanced Digital Communications and were both well-regarded marine engineers, made an interesting discovery. The pair was working for the Cuban government in the Pinar del Rio province of Cuba, close to the Guanahacabibes Peninsula, actively participating in a survey trip. This specific project was the result of a partnership between Advanced Digital Communications and 3 other companies that were all run by the government of President Fidel Castro and had the goal of investigating the large number of Spanish colonial-era ships that were loaded with valuables in Cuban seas. Using state-of-the-art sonar equipment, the team carefully scanned a vast 2-square-kilometer area on the ocean floor throughout their voyage. As they were doing these scans, they noticed something amazing right away. What appeared to be a very complex collection of stone buildings with geometric and symmetrical designs that looked nothing less than an advanced urban civilization. The team was left in amazement by this fascinating finding, which stoked their intense desire to understand the mysteries contained within these mysterious structures. The group set out to investigate the depths of this sunken metropolis with unrelenting dedication and painstaking attention to detail, discovering a wealth of information and historical significance that would completely change our perception of the area. Zalitsky came upon an amazing discovery after closely scrutinizing the sonar images. He saw that there were amazing formations with smooth blocks, imposing crests, and complex geometric forms. There was interest and mystery to these structures. Some of the bricks were surprisingly shaped like pyramids, carefully and purposefully put together. They went back there in July of 21,000, this time with senior researcher Manuel Iturralde, a geologist at the Natural History Museum of Cuba. This time, they had a remotely operated vehicle with them, so they could thoroughly examine and record the fascinating constructions. The video that was recorded revealed the existence of large pieces of stone that looked like polished granite and measured about 8 feet by 10 feet. There were 2 different configurations of these blocks. Some were purposefully piled on top of each other, and some stood apart from the others. Zalitsky speculatively surmised that these photos might depict the ruins of a submerged metropolis. He did not, however, come to any firm conclusions, stressing the necessity for further data to back up such assertions. This painstaking investigation, made possible by cutting-edge technology, gave rise to a thorough knowledge of the undersea formations, as well as intriguing new information on the possible presence of a subterranean civilization. The estimated time it would have taken for the submerged structures in question to sink to the depth at which they were found was 50,000 years. Iturralde, a field expert, has suggested that these findings rule out the possibility that any known culture at the time was capable of creating such intricate buildings. According to an expert in underwater archaeology at Florida State University, this theory is reinforced by the fact that it would be highly unusual if these buildings were constructed in that specific era because they are more advanced than anything that is usually found in the New World. Consequently, it may be said that these constructions appear to be unusual in terms of their location and chronological order. Following the remarkable discovery, there was a media frenzy that led to several news sites drawing parallels between the find and the lost metropolis of Atlantis, but the men leading the investigation, Zalitsky and Weinsweig, were reluctant to approve of these parallels. Zalitsky flatly rejected the theory, claiming that the discovered ruins were probably more proof of a native culture that once flourished on a 100-mile land bridge that connected Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. Iturralde strengthened this viewpoint, by emphasizing the existence of indigenous Maya and Yucateco stories about an island their ancestors had called home that had suddenly disappeared into the ocean. Even with these explanations, Iturralde did not rule out the idea that the fascinating rock formations might simply be the result of remarkable natural processes. Even though a lot of media sources have written about underwater cities, lost civilizations, the story of Atlantis, and underwater ruins, some people are still doubtful of this viewpoint. These skeptics doubt the veracity of such statements and are reluctant to accept the notion of submerged civilizations. There are questions regarding whether information concerning the discovery was purposefully withheld due to the narrative's rapid rejection. We don't know if the leads just died on their own accord or if someone deliberately tried to hide what we found. Sadly, the explanation for this is still a mystery, leaving us without the chance to fully understand it. The Varginha incident. On the afternoon of January 20th, 1996, shortly after 3:30 in the afternoon, 3 girls were strolling together in Santana, located in the northern part of Varginha. Sisters Liliane and Valkyria da Silva, aged 16 and 14 respectively, along with 22-year-old Katia Xavier, arrived at an unoccupied and barren area of land, encountering a most extraordinary scene. A peculiar, demon-like entity was positioned against the wall of a deserted cinder-block structure. The creature's skin had a leathery brown hue, and it appeared to possess a triangular-shaped head with prominent red eyes. Its limbs were disproportionately short for its torso, with an estimated height of 2.5 feet. As the group stayed in place, unable to avert their gaze from the peculiar creature, they observed that it seemed as terrified as they undoubtedly were. Subsequently, they would recount how it seemed to hunch lower against the building's wall, seemingly attempting to evade their scrutiny. After a brief interval, the 3 girls pivoted and sprinted back to the main thoroughfare. They would go at full speed till they arrived at the residence of the teenage sisters. The situation would require around 20 minutes to attain a state of calm for the account to be comprehended. Katia, along with the sisters' mother, would then coordinate with a neighbor to revisit the location where they observed the peculiar creature. Upon their return, the thing was absent. An indentation was present on the grass where it had been situated earlier. A pronounced and pungent odor of ammonia was present. This is an aroma observed in the specifics of some close contact reports, and while they did not observe the monster, another individual had. An old widow and her granddaughter heard the screams of 3 little girls upon first noticing the peculiar figure. Although the females had departed by the time the 2 witnesses arrived, the grandma and small girl remained and observed the happenings covertly. They would assert that a vehicle from the municipal fire department arrived. The firefighters would promptly apprehend the beast before departing as though nothing had occurred. The incident will soon attract the attention of media and UFO investigators. Ubirajara Franco Rodriguez, in particular, would conduct a more in-depth investigation. His notes express his conviction in the honesty of the 3 females, and additionally, he would seek further supporting witnesses. Notably, a bricklayer named Henrique José de Souza asserted that he observed a fire department vehicle at the site of the purported sighting, despite the fact that his observation occurred prior to the time the 3 girls encountered the monster. A particularly compelling testimony would emerge in the form of local resident Aurelina Augusta. She asserted that she was awakened just after 1 in the morning on the 20th of January by the sound of bellowing animals from a nearby farm several miles distant. Upon approaching her window, she observed the cattle stampeding in distress. She understood the rationale. A submarine-shaped, luminescent thing hovered over them. She promptly roused her husband, and they both peered out of their window, seeing the grey smoke rising from the craft's side. It abruptly commenced movement, exhibiting a jerky stop-and-start action. It became evident to both that the vessel was impaired in some manner. In Brazil, the fire service is governed by the military police. This, in itself, renders the assertions of the fire department apprehending the creature potentially more convincing. Records from the Varginha City Fire Department reveal a call around 8:30 in the morning on January 20th. The call details indicate that an unusual creature was traversing the woods on the city's periphery, in proximity to the location of the subsequent apprehension that afternoon. Upon the fire service's arrival at the scene, documents indicate that 3 small boys informed them of having witnessed the thing. The direction they asserted it was headed would, theoretically, lead to the site of the 3 young girls' sighting. Additionally, 2 other occupants, an unidentified man and woman, would corroborate the boys' account. The mum recalled that the boys were hurling stones at the thing. She instructed them to cease, and they complied. It subsequently vanished into the forest. A small search unit would be dispatched by the fire department into the woodland, but other than the occasional glimpse of movement, no definite sightings occurred. 2 hours later, as noted by Rodriguez, they succeeded in cornering the beast. They successfully captured it, observing its complete lack of resistance, maybe indicating an injury. Later that day, 3 creatures were captured, including the one that the 3 girls had seen. A severe storm would ensue shortly thereafter, suspending the search for several hours. By 6 in the evening, the search units would re-enter the woodland. It was reported that 2 officers, who were described as plain-clothed operatives, would track down and apprehend a 4th monster. Devoid of the equipment utilized by the search teams, the 2 agents compelled the monster into the rear of their vehicle. Local expert studies indicate that the agents transported the monster to a small local clinic. Nevertheless, the physician would deny them entry to the premises and would withhold treatment. He recommended that they transport it to the hospital in the city. One of the undercover officers, reportedly identified as Marco Cherez, had physically restrained the creature with his own hands during its capture. Shortly thereafter, he fell gravely unwell and was admitted to the hospital due to the loss of function in all of his limbs. He would decline swiftly, with little reaction to any interventions. Ultimately, he would perish on February 15th. Nevertheless, the subsequent events are very unsettling, to put it mildly. The hospital provided no clarification regarding the officer's demise. They ordered that his coffin be sealed and that the funeral occur within hours. The family intends to litigate against the Brazilian military for Cherez's demise. Nonetheless, the sole new information they uncovered was a minimal presence of dangerous substances in his system, and potentially more incriminating, a conspicuous modification of official documents indicating that Cherez was off duty on the night in question. Rodriguez's investigations revealed that an entire wing of the city's hospital was restricted in the aftermath of the tragedy. Additionally, the military will convene a conference with all hospital personnel. They would notify them that the events of the past few days constituted a training exercise for medical and military professionals. More concerning, they were directed to refute all inquiries if questioned. There were 3 sizable military vehicles outside the hospital in the afternoon on January 22nd. The reports indicate that the creature remained alive at this juncture. The military would secure it in hermetically sealed, advanced technology canisters prepared for transit. Subsequent inquiries by local researchers revealed that at approximately 4 in the morning on January 23rd, a convoy of military vehicles, commanded by a yellow Volkswagen van, departed from the city of Varginha. Their destination is unspecified. Certain assertions indicate that Sr. Fortunato Baden Palhares would conduct the autopsy of the alleged extraterrestrial beings. He consistently refuted this. According to a student who inquired about the supposed autopsy in the late 1990s, he expressed a desire to provide an explanation, but requested that the subject be posed in 10 to 15 years. Dr. Palhares may have been overly enthusiastic regarding the disclosure he appears to anticipate. Subsequent inquiries would disclose the presence of at least 1 US agent in Varginha from January 20th to 23rd. The North American Aerospace Defense Command had alerted Brazilian authorities on 13th of January 1996, indicating that it had detected several strange objects over the Western Hemisphere that night. 1 or more had intruded into Brazilian airspace. The possibility of 1 or more unidentified objects crashing to the Earth in Brazil that evening, potentially near Varginha, is a subject of debate. Nonetheless, a report of such an instance exists. Carlos de Souza was operating a vehicle on the Fernão Dias Highway in the early hours of the 13th of January. He was fewer than 5 miles from Varginha when he abruptly heard a muted roaring noise emanating from above. Upon directing his gaze upward, he observed a cigar-shaped silver vehicle moving at an approximate speed of 50 miles per hour. He discerned 4 windows down the side of the UFO, which he estimated to be approximately 40 feet in length. Additionally, he observed a jagged split or break at the front of the item. Dense white smoke spewed into the atmosphere from this mechanical injury. The craft quickly surpassed Sousa, and for 10 minutes he trailed the silver object. Subsequently, it vanished into a descent beyond the tree canopy. From Sousa's perspective, there was no doubt it had descended someplace in the forest. He persisted in operating his truck towards the location he presumed the object descended. After several minutes, evidence of his conviction emerged. He halted his truck, unwilling to approach any nearer. In the field before him, he observed the dispersed silver remnants of the cigar-shaped vessel that had traversed the sky mere minutes prior. He was surprised by the appearance of approximately 40 troops engaged in collecting the rubble and loading it onto military vehicles. He observed a fragment of silver substance situated not far ahead of his position. He approached it and retrieved it. As he proceeded, one of the soldiers commanded him to depart without delay. He complied, but asserts that when he paused for coffee several miles later, 2 military personnel in civilian attire approached him. They recognized his identity and explicitly instructed him not to disclose what he had witnessed. Although there is no definitive evidence supporting Sousa's narrative, it aligns with the seemingly disclosed knowledge regarding the North American Aerospace Defense Command, details that Sousa could not have known at that time. It is certain that the case likely involves more complexity than a mere fake. Moreover, it possibly disseminates disinformation to obscure the facts regarding the events of late January 1996 in Varginha, Brazil. Mysterious object seen above the moon. In the ever-expanding universe of UFO sightings, few events capture the imagination like those that occur near the moon. Our closest celestial neighbor has long been a subject of fascination for humanity, and any sighting of an unidentified flying object in its proximity invites a flurry of speculation, awe, and sometimes fear. One such instance involves a cigar-shaped UFO that was reportedly photographed flying above the moon's surface. This sighting, distinguished by the unusual shape and location of the object, has sparked debates about the nature of the craft, its origin, and what it could signify about extraterrestrial life or even undisclosed human space operations. While the authenticity of such sightings is always debated, the cigar-shaped UFO near the moon remains one of the more mysterious and intriguing episodes in modern UFO lore. The moon has long been the focus of scientific exploration and curiosity, from the early telescopic observations of Galileo to the modern era of space exploration. As the only celestial body visited by humans, the moon has been the subject of countless missions, including NASA's famous Apollo landings. Yet, despite, or perhaps because of, our extensive study of the moon, it has also become a hotbed for UFO sightings and mysterious phenomena. Reports of strange lights, structures, and flying objects on or near the moon date back decades, with some sightings even predating the space age. Amateur astronomers and professional scientists alike have occasionally observed unexplained events, including flashing lights or unusual formations on the lunar surface. These phenomena have led some to speculate that the moon may be home to secret bases, alien activity, or remnants of past civilizations. The cigar-shaped UFO spotted flying above the moon's surface adds another chapter to this long-standing mystery, fueling speculation about what might truly be happening on our lunar neighbor. The sighting of the cigar-shaped UFO occurred during a period of heightened interest in space and UFO phenomena. The object, reportedly captured in several photographs, appears as a long, cylindrical shape flying just above the moon's surface. In contrast to the typical round or saucer-like UFOs often reported in sightings on Earth, this object resembled a giant, elongated craft, giving rise to its description as cigar-shaped. Eyewitnesses, who claim to have photographed the object through telescopes or with cameras equipped with high-zoom lenses, were startled by the clarity and distinctness of the object's shape. Unlike the small specks or indistinct blurs that characterize many UFO sightings, this object had a clear and defined form. It appeared to be moving slowly across the moon's surface, at an altitude that suggested it was flying deliberately and not simply debris or a natural occurrence. What struck observers most was the object's stark contrast against the moon's barren landscape. Its smooth, elongated body stood out sharply against the grey surface of the moon, casting what appeared to be a faint shadow in some of the images. The UFO seemed to lack any visible wings, propulsion systems, or external features commonly associated with spacecraft, adding to the mystery of its origin and function. Its sleek, tubular design resembled some of the hypothetical spacecraft described in science fiction, though its purpose and destination remained unclear. The sighting of the cigar-shaped UFO has sparked considerable debate regarding its origin and purpose. One of the most popular explanations is that the object may be of extraterrestrial origin. The unusual shape and apparent flight capabilities of the object have led some to speculate that it could be an alien spacecraft, part of a larger fleet that may be observing the Moon or even conducting activities on its surface. Supporters of the extraterrestrial hypothesis point to the Moon's strategic location. As Earth's closest celestial neighbor, the Moon offers a prime vantage point for observing our planet without detection. Some theorists suggest that if extraterrestrial civilizations are interested in Earth, they might establish a base on or near the Moon to monitor human activities. In this scenario, the cigar-shaped UFO could be part of a larger system of surveillance or reconnaissance missions conducted by advanced alien species. Another possible explanation is that the cigar-shaped UFO is part of a secret human space mission. Given the long-standing rivalry between superpowers like the United States, Russia, and now China in space exploration, it is not beyond the realm of possibility that classified operations are being conducted on or around the Moon. These operations could involve experimental spacecraft or technologies that have not yet been made public. In particular, the cylindrical shape of the UFO might indicate an experimental propulsion system or a craft designed for long-term space travel. The object's smooth exterior and lack of obvious flight mechanisms could suggest the use of advanced propulsion technologies, such as ion drives or nuclear-powered engines, which are being researched by various space agencies. In this context, the UFO might not be extraterrestrial at all, but a secret project developed by a government or private space organization, designed to test new methods of space travel or lunar exploration. Despite the intrigue surrounding the cigar-shaped UFO, verifying its authenticity and origin remains difficult. Much like other UFO sightings, the photographic evidence is often subject to scrutiny, with skeptics arguing that the images could be misinterpreted or even manipulated. In the case of objects observed near the Moon, atmospheric distortions, reflections, and other visual anomalies can sometimes cause images to appear deceptive. In some instances, small objects like space debris or satellites passing in front of the Moon may be mistaken for UFOs. Additionally, the scarcity of verifiable data poses a challenge. While multiple observers claim to have photographed the cigar-shaped UFO, these sightings are difficult to replicate, and the absence of official statements from space agencies like NASA adds to the ambiguity. Although lunar anomalies and unexplained phenomena are frequently reported by amateur astronomers, mainstream scientific institutions tend to approach such claims with skepticism, often citing more mundane explanations like natural lunar formations or artifacts from human-made space debris. Whether the cigar-shaped UFO above the Moon is extraterrestrial, human-made, or an optical illusion, the sighting has profound implications. If the object is indeed alien in origin, it would represent a monumental discovery, suggesting that intelligent life is not only aware of Earth, but actively monitoring or visiting the Moon. Such a revelation would have far-reaching consequences for humanity's understanding of its place in the universe, potentially ushering in a new era of interstellar diplomacy and cooperation. On the other hand, if the UFO is part of a secret human mission, it underscores the complexity and secrecy that surround space exploration in the 21st century. Governments and private entities may be conducting space operations that remain hidden from public view, advancing technologies that could shape the future of human space travel in unprecedented ways. Mysterious object seen hovering above the Moon during an old space mission. One of the most captivating and contentious UFO sightings in history allegedly occurred during one of the early space missions, when a large, black cylinder-shaped object was seen hovering above the Moon. This sighting, reported by both astronauts and ground-based observers, has been the subject of intense debate for decades. What makes this event even more intriguing is the fact that the image of the cylindrical object has reportedly been scrubbed from many websites and online sources, leading to speculation about a possible cover-up. Though the veracity of the sighting remains hotly contested, the story of the black cylinder-shaped UFO continues to inspire wonder and suspicion. The sighting of the black cylinder UFO above the moon occurred during the early days of space exploration, a period filled with both technological triumphs and intense geopolitical tensions. In the 1960s and early 1970s, the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union was in full swing. NASA's Apollo missions were a major part of this era, with the primary goal of landing humans on the moon and returning them safely to Earth. These missions, however, also generated reports of unexplained phenomena, including UFO sightings by astronauts and mission control personnel. One such sighting stands out from the others: the appearance of a large black cylinder-shaped object hovering near the moon during one of these early missions. The object was said to be enormous, dwarfing the lunar landscape and casting a shadow that indicated it was located in close proximity to the moon's surface. It appeared to hover motionlessly in space, defying the laws of physics as understood at the time. The sighting, reportedly captured on film and witnessed by several individuals, quickly became the subject of speculation. The black cylinder-shaped UFO was unlike any other object typically associated with space missions. While spacecraft, satellites, and natural space debris all come in various shapes and sizes, the sheer scale and form of the cylindrical object were far beyond anything man-made or naturally occurring that had been observed in space up to that point. Descriptions of the object suggest that it was elongated, sleek, and smooth, with no visible seams or features like wings or engines. It also seemed to lack any identifiable source of propulsion, yet it remained stationary, hovering just above the lunar surface. According to some accounts, Mission Control was equally baffled by the appearance of the UFO, as it did not correspond to any known object in orbit or any scheduled space activity. Despite the mounting questions, no official explanation was provided at the time. The cylindrical object soon disappeared from view, either moving out of range or vanishing entirely. Photographs taken by the astronauts reportedly captured the object's presence, but these images were never made widely available to the public, fueling speculation that something significant had been witnessed but was being kept secret. In the years that followed the sighting, rumors began to circulate that images of the black cylinder-shaped UFO had been deleted or removed from public access. Early reports indicated that photos showing the object were stored in NASA's archives, but attempts to locate these images through official channels have yielded little success. Some individuals claimed to have seen the photographs in the early days of the internet, but by the 2022, such images had largely vanished from online sources. The few sites that did host the images eventually removed them, leading some to believe that a concerted effort was made to erase evidence of the event. This erasure has led to widespread speculation about a possible cover-up. Theories abound, with some suggesting that the black cylinder-shaped UFO was evidence of extraterrestrial activity, either monitoring or interacting with human space exploration. Others propose that the object was part of a secret space program, perhaps a highly classified military project involving advanced technology that the public was not meant to know about. Supporters of the cover-up theory point to the increasing difficulty in finding any trace of the sighting online. While UFO sightings are often discussed and shared freely, the near-total absence of images or official references to the black cylinder UFO above the moon has fueled suspicions. Additionally, former NASA employees and whistleblowers have occasionally hinted at the suppression of sensitive information regarding UFOs, further feeding the idea that the truth about the event has been deliberately hidden. Skeptics of the black cylinder UFO sighting argue that the object could have been a case of misidentification or an optical illusion. The harsh environment of space, combined with the limitations of early photographic equipment, can sometimes lead to visual distortions or the appearance of unexplained objects. Some have suggested that the cylinder-shaped UFO might have been space debris or a natural celestial body, such as a fragment of an asteroid, caught in the camera's lens at an odd angle. Others have proposed that reflections of light or lens flares could have contributed to the sighting. Despite these alternative explanations, many UFO enthusiasts and researchers remain convinced that the black cylinder-shaped object was something more significant. In the annals of modern UFO sightings, Certain cases stand out not only for the strangeness of the events, but also for the unsettling consequences that follow. One such case involves a Department of Defense employee who reportedly witnessed and photographed a metallic sphere hovering above San Diego in 2014. The clear images captured during this sighting were submitted to prominent UFO research organizations, including the Mutual UFO Network and the National UFO Reporting Center. However, shortly after these photographs were published online, the witness mysteriously disappeared, adding a layer of intrigue and fear to an already mysterious event. The sighting occurred on a clear day in the summer of 2014, when a Department of Defense employee, who has remained anonymous for security reasons, observed an unusual object in the sky above San Diego. The object, described as a metallic sphere, was reportedly hovering silently at a considerable altitude. The sphere appeared to reflect the sunlight, indicating a smooth, reflective surface, and it remained stationary for several minutes before suddenly accelerating and disappearing at an incredible speed. The witness, who was familiar with various types of aircraft due to their employment, immediately recognized that the object did not resemble any known military or civilian craft. Its spherical shape, lack of visible propulsion system, and sudden disappearance were all features that distinguished it from anything the witness had encountered in their professional capacity. The employee managed to capture several high-quality images of the metallic sphere using a digital camera. These images clearly show a round, reflective object against the blue sky, with no apparent wings, engines, or other features typically associated with conventional aircraft. The photographs were taken from different angles, providing multiple perspectives of the sphere's shape and appearance. Recognizing the potential significance of the sighting, the witness decided to submit the images to the Mutual UFO Network and the National UFO Reporting Center, two of the most reputable organizations dedicated to investigating and documenting UFO sightings. Both organizations received the images and classified the case as highly credible, noting the clarity of the photographs and the reliability of the witness given their background in defense. Shortly after the images were submitted to the organizations, they were published on various online platforms, including the official websites of the organizations and several UFO enthusiast forums. The photographs quickly gained attention due to their unusual clarity and the credibility of the witness. Discussions erupted across the internet, with many speculating about the origin of the metallic sphere and whether it could be evidence of extraterrestrial technology or a highly classified military project. While some skeptics suggested that the object might be a weather balloon, drone, or other mundane explanation, the quality of the images and the witness's testimony made such explanations seem inadequate to many observers. The sighting was soon hailed as one of the most compelling UFO cases of the year. As the images circulated online, something far more disturbing occurred. The employee who had witnessed and photographed the sphere suddenly disappeared. According to reports, the witness was last seen shortly after the photographs were published, and although they allegedly did interviews and made various comments about the incident, in recent years they haven't been seen. Many have questioned whether this is because they worked for the Department of Defense. The relationship between the United States Department of Defense and unidentified flying objects has long been a subject of public fascination, speculation, and controversy. Over the decades, the Department of Defense has played a pivotal role in investigating, documenting, and at times, seemingly obscuring information related to UFO sightings and encounters. From the early days to recent revelations about secretive programs, the Department of Defense's involvement with unidentified objects reveals a complex interplay of national security concerns, scientific inquiry, and public transparency. Despite extensive searches and investigations, no trace of the individual was found. The disappearance has led to widespread speculation and concern, with some suggesting that the witness may have been silenced by governmental or other clandestine forces. The timing of the disappearance, so soon after the release of the photographs, has only fueled these suspicions. Those familiar with the case have pointed out that whistleblowers and individuals who come forward with sensitive information often face significant risks, particularly when the information pertains to national security or potentially classified technology. One of the most common theories surrounding the disappearance is that it was part of a government cover-up. The metallic sphere, if indeed an advanced technology not publicly known, could have been part of a secret military program or an unidentified craft of extraterrestrial origin. If the latter, the implications would be enormous, potentially affecting national security, public perception, and even global politics. In this context, the disappearance of the witness might have been an attempt to prevent further information from leaking or to send a message to others who might consider coming forward with similar evidence. The idea of government agencies suppressing UFO-related information is not new and has been a recurring theme in UFO lore for decades. The mysterious disappearance of the DoD employee fits neatly into this narrative, reinforcing the belief that powerful entities will go to great lengths to keep certain information hidden. Another, more speculative theory is that the disappearance was somehow related to the object itself. Some proponents of this idea suggest that the metallic sphere might have been advanced in origin and that the witness's disappearance was the result of direct intervention by the beings controlling the craft. The disappearance of the employee remains unresolved, adding a layer of mystery to an already perplexing UFO case. The photographs of the metallic sphere continue to circulate online, serving as a reminder of the sighting and the questions it raises. However, without the testimony or further input from the witness, much about the event remains unknown. The case of the metallic sphere above San Diego exemplifies the challenges and dangers that can arise when individuals encounter and attempt to share evidence of unexplained phenomena. Whether the witness's disappearance was the result of foul play, a government intervention, or something else entirely, it underscores the risks associated with challenging the status quo and bringing potentially disruptive information to light. As of right now, the sighting of the metallic sphere above San Diego and the subsequent disappearance of the witness are a stark reminder of how little we truly understand about the universe and the potential forces at play. The phenomenon of unidentified flying objects has fascinated humanity for decades, sparking curiosity, fear, and a relentless quest for the truth. While many approach the subject with a sense of wonder and scientific inquiry, there exists a darker side to UFO investigations, one in which those who delve too deeply into the mystery of UFOs may find themselves facing intimidation, harassment, and even threats. Over the years, numerous individuals who have investigated UFO sightings, shared evidence, or spoken publicly about their experiences have reported being harassed or intimidated. These threats often come in the form of anonymous phone calls, visits from mysterious individuals, or strange occurrences that seem designed to create fear and dissuade further investigation. One of the most notorious examples of such intimidation is the phenomenon of the Men in Black. Described as mysterious, often menacing figures dressed in black suits, the MIB are said to appear unannounced at the homes or workplaces of UFO witnesses and researchers, warning them to remain silent about what they have seen. While some dismiss them as an urban legend, many credible individuals have reported encounters with these figures, suggesting that there may be a real basis for the stories. Beyond these mysterious beings, there have been reports of more overt forms of harassment, such as physical surveillance, break-ins, and tampering with personal property. These actions are typically aimed at creating a sense of paranoia and fear, making it clear to the targets that their activities are being closely monitored. In more extreme cases, UFO investigators and witnesses have reported receiving direct threats to their lives or safety. These threats can be delivered in person, over the phone, or through anonymous letters. The message is usually clear: cease all investigations and public discussions about UFOs, or face severe consequences. For example, several prominent UFO researchers have claimed to have been followed by unmarked vehicles, or to have received warnings from individuals claiming to be government agents. These warnings often come with the implication that the individual's safety, or that of their family, could be at risk if they continue to pursue or disclose certain information. In some instances, these threats have led to tragic outcomes. There are cases where individuals involved in UFO research or whistleblowing have passed away under suspicious circumstances, fueling speculation that their deaths were not accidental, but were instead the result of deliberate actions taken to silence them. The case of Dr. James McDonald. Dr. James E. McDonald, a respected physicist and UFO researcher, is one of the most tragic examples of someone who may have faced consequences for his involvement in UFO investigations. In the 1960s, MacDonald became one of the most vocal advocates for serious scientific study of UFOs, often clashing with government officials and skeptics. MacDonald's research and public statements made him a prominent figure in the UFO community, but they also made him a target. He reportedly received threats and was subjected to intense scrutiny by government agencies. MacDonald's career and personal life began to unravel, and in 1971, he passed away under mysterious circumstances. Many in the UFO community believe that MacDonald's passing was directly related to his UFO research and the pressure he faced from unknown sources. One of the most commonly cited reasons for the threats and harassment faced by UFO investigators is the possibility that some UFO sightings are related to secret government projects. If certain UFOs are, in fact, advanced military aircraft or other classified technology, it stands to reason that government agencies would take steps to protect that information from being disclosed. In this context, the threats against UFO researchers could be seen as a form of damage control, aimed at preventing sensitive information from reaching the public or foreign adversaries. The use of intimidation tactics, disinformation, and even more drastic measures could be part of a larger strategy to maintain secrecy and control over information related to national security. Another theory is that the threats are related to the possibility of extraterrestrial involvement. If some UFOs are indeed of extraterrestrial origin, the implications for humanity are profound. The disclosure of such information could have far-reaching consequences for global security, religion, and societal stability. In this scenario, both government and non-governmental entities might have a vested interest in suppressing the truth about UFOs. This theory suggests that the threats against UFO investigators are part of a broader effort to prevent the public from learning the full extent of the UFO phenomenon. The existence of extraterrestrial life, particularly if it has been in contact with Earth, could be one of the most closely guarded secrets in history. One of the most compelling reasons why UFOs are perceived as a security threat is their apparent technological superiority. Reports from military pilots and radar operators have described UFOs capable of performing maneuvers that defy the laws of physics as we understand them. These objects have been observed traveling at hypersonic speeds, making sharp turns without decelerating, and hovering motionless in mid-air, all without any visible means of propulsion or aerodynamic surfaces like wings or tail fins. The presence of such advanced technology in our airspace, with no clear explanation of its origin or intent, is a cause for serious concern. If these UFOs are the product of foreign adversaries, they could represent a significant leap in technological capabilities, potentially rendering existing defense systems obsolete. Alternatively, if these objects are of extraterrestrial origin, the implications for national security are even more profound, as humanity would be faced with a technologically superior civilization operating within our atmosphere without our consent or understanding. The capabilities demonstrated by UFOs suggest that current defense systems may be vulnerable or inadequate in addressing the threat they pose. Traditional radar and missile defense systems are designed to detect and respond to known aircraft and missiles, which operate within established parameters of speed, altitude, and maneuverability. However, UFOs have consistently exhibited behaviors that fall outside these parameters, making them difficult, if not impossible, to track and engage. This vulnerability is particularly concerning for military installations, nuclear facilities, and other critical infrastructure, which could be at risk if UFOs are able to bypass or disable existing security measures. The inability to reliably detect and respond to these objects undermines the effectiveness of national defense strategies and exposes potential weaknesses that could be exploited by adversaries. In October 2019, the tech industry was rocked by the sudden and mysterious passing of Erin Valente, a talented and ambitious entrepreneur who was the CEO of Tinker Ventures, a tech company. Valente, a rising star in the tech world, was known for her innovative thinking, entrepreneurial spirit, and leadership in the field of emerging technologies. However, her promising career was cut short under circumstances that remain baffling to this day. In the days leading up to her passing, Valente made a series of frantic and confusing phone calls to her family, during which she reportedly said that it is all a game, it's a thought experiment, and we are in the Matrix. These cryptic final words have only deepened the mystery surrounding her untimely passing, sparking widespread speculation and raising questions about the pressures of the tech industry, the nature of reality, and the possible connection between mental health and innovation. Erin Valente, aged 33, was found in the rear seat of her rented vehicle on a residential road in the peaceful Almaden neighborhood of San Jose. This occurred 5 days after she was initially reported as missing. Valente, the CEO of Tinker Ventures, a Salt Lake City-based app company, was last seen on October 7th when she failed to catch her aircraft from San Jose to Utah. Everything appeared normal until 3:30 on Monday, when she had a meeting with a previous co-worker on Sand Hill Road, at which point she contacted her parents to inform them that she was unable to locate her rented vehicle. After finding the grey Nissan Murano, she remained on the phone with her mother and father, during which Valente's speech gradually shifted from being peculiar to downright odd. According to her father, Joseph Valente, his daughter was speaking rapidly and incoherently. Despite the father's claim that his daughter had no prior record of illness, Joseph reveals that he was not the sole family member to receive a perplexing and incoherent phone call before her vanishing. Valente intermittently contacted her mother for several hours on Monday afternoon and evening. She said that her ideas were disjointed and she would declare her intention to return home for Thanksgiving. But in the subsequent communication, she claimed to be residing within the Matrix. According to reports, Valente allegedly informed her mother that the situation is merely a game or a mental exercise, comparing it to the concept of being inside a simulated reality known as the Matrix. She did not catch her flight later that evening and did not attend a ceremony in Utah where she was scheduled to receive a Women in Tech award. Worried about her safety, Valente's spouse Harrison Weinstein, who is a psychotherapist, made an effort to locate her using a mobile application designed to discover lost phones, but his attempt was unsuccessful. Valente expressed her need for fuel during her last conversations with her loved ones. In response to her family's plea, a San Jose police officer reached out to Valente by telephone on the same evening. According to Weinstein, the police officer also mentioned that she was speaking incoherently during the phone conversation. The officer conducted a thorough search of San Jose in an attempt to locate her, but was unable to unearth any evidence of Valente's whereabouts. Weinstein, dissatisfied with the police department's endeavors, established a Facebook page titled Help Find Erin Valente, which motivated over 1,500 residents of the Bay Area to actively seek for her. Valente was found by one of the volunteers in the back seat of a vehicle on Bose Lane's block, which was half a mile away from where she was last seen. The message on the Help Find Erin Valente page expressed gratitude for the assistance and support provided, despite the disappointment of not achieving the desired result. The page asked that people please remember Erin as the aesthetically pleasing, intelligent, and humorous lady that she was. The authorities have not yet disclosed the time of her passing or provided any information regarding the duration she spent in the car before being discovered. When questioned, a representative from the San Jose Police Department declined to disclose the cause of what happened, citing an ongoing investigation. Valente's family members are expressing doubt about the police department's handling of their daughter's missing persons case, alleging that they mishandled the search. Joseph Valente informed news outlets of the police department's attempts to locate his daughter, saying that he was dissatisfied and angry with the way in which the investigation was carried out. Joseph Valente further stated that despite providing the police with comprehensive information, including the car's make, model, and license plate, descriptions of Erin Valente's unusual behavior during phone conversations on Monday, and data indicating the location of her last phone call, the police department did not initiate a missing persons report for Erin Valente until Thursday. In addition to the injuries, they further characterized her as voluntarily missing, asserting that as an adult, she had likely chosen to take a few days off without prior planning. Joseph contends that the department failed to prioritize the search for his daughter. In a similar vein, Weinstein utilized Facebook as a platform to challenge the assertions made by the department, explicitly stating that they wish to underscore the highly atypical nature of this behavior for Erin. Although she possesses a spirit of adventure, she exercises caution and would never deliberately halt communication with her family. Weinstein further stated that it is very plausible to experience a rapid emergence of symptoms, such as an episode, without prior indications due to various health and physical factors. In recent years, a fascinating and somewhat unsettling theory has gained traction among scientists philosophers, and technologists, the idea that our reality might actually be a sophisticated computer simulation. This concept, often referred to as the simulation hypothesis, suggests that everything we experience, from the laws of physics to our own consciousness, could be the product of an advanced computational process, designed and maintained by beings far more technologically advanced than ourselves. While this idea might sound like science fiction, it is increasingly being taken seriously by reputable thinkers and researchers. Melvin Vopson, a scientist from the University of Portsmouth, explores the hypothesis that the universe could be a digital replica and draws a parallel with movies. Recently, Vopson explained that physics encompasses a set of principles that regulate all phenomena occurring in the universe, such as the motion of objects and the movement of energy. All phenomena are governed by the principles of physics. The second law of thermodynamics is a highly influential principle that states that the entropy, which quantifies the level of disorder in a closed system, can only either increase or remain constant, but it can never decrease. According to this well-known principle, Vopson anticipated that entropy in information systems, which he previously termed as a fifth state of matter, would also increase as time progressed. However, it does not. Instead, it remains constant, or may even decline to a minimum value while in equilibrium. This stands in stark opposition to the second law of thermodynamics, which served as the inspiration for Vopson to embrace the second law of information dynamics, or infodynamics. The idea that our reality might not be what it seems has deep philosophical roots. Ancient thinkers like Plato speculated about the nature of reality, most famously in his allegory of the cave, where prisoners perceive only shadows of real objects and mistake them for reality. This notion that our perceptions might not correspond to true reality has continued to intrigue philosophers through the ages. The simulation hypothesis, however, finds its most direct antecedent in the ideas of the 17th century philosopher René Descartes. Descartes famously questioned the reliability of our senses and proposed the idea of a malicious demon that could be deceiving us, making us believe in a false reality. In modern terms, this demon can be seen as analogous to the programmer or creator of a simulated universe. The modern simulation hypothesis was popularized by philosopher Nick Bostrom. Bostrom presented a trilemma, arguing that at least one of the following propositions is true. Almost all civilizations at our level of technological development go extinct before they become capable of creating ancestor simulations. If civilizations reach the stage where they can create simulations, they have no interest in running many simulations of their past. We are almost certainly living in a computer simulation. Bostrom's argument is based on the premise that if advanced civilizations can create realistic simulations, they would likely create many of them, leading to a scenario where simulated realities vastly outnumber the one base reality. Thus, it would be statistically more likely that we are living in a simulation than in the original, unsimulated universe. One of the strongest arguments in favor of the simulation hypothesis is the rapid advancement of technology, particularly in the fields of computing and artificial intelligence. We are already capable of creating detailed simulations and virtual environments, albeit on a much smaller scale. Video games and virtual reality systems are becoming increasingly sophisticated, and as technology continues to improve, it is conceivable that future civilizations could create simulations indistinguishable from reality. The exponential growth of computing power, as described by Moore's law, suggests that we could eventually reach a point where simulating entire universes, including conscious beings within them, becomes feasible. If we assume that it is possible to create such simulations, then the likelihood that we ourselves are in a simulation increases dramatically. Another argument that supports the simulation hypothesis is the apparent fine-tuning of the universe. Many scientists have observed that the physical constants of our universe are finely tuned in such a way that they allow for the existence of life. Some proponents of the simulation hypothesis argue that this fine-tuning could be evidence of a designed system, much like a computer simulation where the parameters have been set to achieve specific outcomes. If our universe were a simulation, the fine-tuning could be explained as the deliberate choices of the creators who set the parameters of the simulation to produce a universe capable of supporting life and consciousness. One of the main criticisms of the simulation hypothesis is the sheer complexity of simulating an entire universe. Even with advanced technology, the amount of computational power required to simulate every detail of a universe, including the thoughts and experiences of billions of conscious beings, would be astronomical. Some argue that this level of complexity is beyond the capabilities of any civilization, no matter how advanced. Additionally, critics point out that the assumption that we could create simulations that are indistinguishable from reality is speculative. While technology is advancing rapidly, there are limits to what we can currently achieve, and it is unclear whether these limitations can ever be fully overcome. Another challenge to the simulation hypothesis is the problem of infinite regress. If we are living in a simulation, then it raises the question of whether the creators of our simulation are themselves in a simulated reality. This leads to a potentially infinite chain of simulations within simulations, making it difficult to determine if there is any original base reality at all. This line of reasoning can lead to paradoxes and logical difficulties, which some critics argue undermine the plausibility of the hypothesis. Philosophers have long debated the nature of consciousness, with some proposing that it is an inherent part of the mind, while others argue that it is an emergent property of complex neural processes. The hard problem of consciousness, a term coined by philosopher David Chalmers, refers to the challenge of explaining why and how physical processes in the brain give rise to subjective experiences, why we have a mind that experiences things in the first place, rather than just being automatons that process information without awareness. Consciousness is not a single, uniform state, but exists on a spectrum, ranging from full wakefulness to deep sleep, and even into altered states such as hypnosis, meditation, and drug-induced experiences.
Sir Victor Goddard and the Time Slip. The skies are a wondrous place, and ever since man evolved, we've dreamt of being able to fly. Of course, this is now possible, and thanks to the technological advancements in aircraft, being able to fly has meant that human eyes have seen things that we should not necessarily have seen. If you've ever been to Scotland, you'll know that its impressive landscapes and sprawling greenery can be extremely relaxing and very picturesque to fly over. But for one man in 1935, his routine flight over the Highlands became a little strange. Wing Commander Victor Goddard was conducting a routine aerial inspection of a disused World War I Air Force base at Drem near East Lothian. The base, which was dilapidated and had not been used for years, appeared to be being used as a farm. A day or two later, Goddard flew back towards his own base. It was a grey and rainy Monday, with low visibility and high winds, completely the wrong conditions for a pleasant flight, as you can imagine. He attempted to navigate towards Drem, but couldn't work out where to fly, given the conditions. Suddenly, Goddard lost complete control of his plane. It plummeted towards Earth through the thick grey cloud, which offered no brakes. As he reached 200 feet, he was certain it was over. But it wasn't. Goddard reported seeing swirling water and a stony beach and was flying near 150 miles an hour. Drem's hangars appeared as a silhouette in the bleakness of the afternoon, and as he approached the airfield, the skies brightened completely. As he flew nearer, he noticed a distinct difference in Drem's appearance. The airfield was freshly tarmacked, the hangars restored, and 4 bright yellow aircraft sat on the stand. One model of aircraft he didn't recognize, a monoplane of a new variation with RAF markings. Strangely, in 1935, the RAF had no monoplanes, not even for training purposes. There were men working on the ground wearing light blue overalls, which was also strange as the mechanics that Goddard was used to seeing normally wore tan grey. Nobody seemed to notice Goddard's plane flying low over the airfield, and as he pulled his joystick backwards and powered back into the skies, the grey skies and ray returned. Soon he was near his intended destination and landed, dazed. Goddard tried to comprehend what he'd seen, but simply couldn't. His colleagues thought he was either drunk or mad, and he stopped telling his story. However, 4 years later, the airbase at Drem would be refurbished. The RAF uniforms would change to light blue, and a new training monoplane painted bright yellow arrived on the tarmac at Drem. As time went by, Victor Goddard came to the startling conclusion that he'd, in fact, travelled through time. The Hikers on Devil's Mountain. Resting on the border of San Pablo, there is a mountain referred to by locals living in the area as the Devil's Mountain. The mountain has been surrounded with a number of disappearances from hikers every single year that claims the lives of even the most experienced hikers in the region. One such story from the locals tells of that of a married couple that went on a hike to the mountain and stayed there for a few days. After they had met others and told them they would be taking a forked path, they were never seen from again, leaving many people wondering which path they had taken, since there seemed to have been no forked path in the area. This story would later come up once again after a group of boys went to the mountain on a hiking trip and came across a married couple that fit the look and description of the couple that had went missing a few years prior, and so followed the couple, believing that they might be ghosts or strange manifestations of the lost couple. As they followed the couple, they witnessed them going down a forked path and so followed them, of which eventually led to them losing sight of the couple and sustaining injuries falling down an area of the mountain. This has led some to believe that the lost people of whom went hiking on the mountain are still there, stuck in a possible time loop or warped reality in which they are jumping through time and encountering other people of whom have went missing on the mountain years prior. These fears have left many, including experienced hikers, worried as to how or why these strange occurrences have been appearing on the mountain, and so leave many fearful of journeying through the region. Are shadow people time travelers? Shadow people sound a bit creepy, right? They are defined as supernatural shadow-like humanoid figures that, according to believers, are seen flickering on walls and ceilings in the viewer's peripheral vision. Shadow people are considered as entities of the underworld, but those who have experienced them are not sure whether they are evil, helpful, or just there. Scientists have tried to offer explanations for the phenomena. For example, some researchers conclude that seeing shadow figures are simply symptoms of sleep paralysis or deprivation, and others have noted that drug addicts are more likely to experience these sorts of hallucinations. Alternatively, they can simply be the mind playing tricks on somebody who's experiencing a heightened sense of alert, for example, when you're walking down a dark alley at night. However, some people are convinced that shadow people are actually apparitions of time travelers. They think that the reason that they are only in shadow form is because we, on Earth, can't clearly see the future and therefore find it hard to see these figures. Instead of being supernatural or devilish creatures, they are actually just people from other dimensions. They also don't seem to be taking any notice of the people that see them, therefore fitting in with the common time travel theme. Often when time traveling, the person experiencing it is not noticed by anybody else. The thing is, this is all heavily disputed, and the scientific explanations are well weighted in their favor. We'll never know for sure if shadow people are time travelers or not, or even real. But one thing is for sure: the human imagination is a powerful thing. The disappearance of Jean Virginia St. Pierre. British Columbia, Canada. Sometime around 10 or 11 p.m. on the 14th of October 1971. 18-year-old Jean Virginia St. Pierre was walking along Highway 16 with her cousin Alvin before he turned back to get a jacket from home. He believed she was going to a nearby shop, but upon his return to the highway, she was nowhere to be seen. Alvin reported hearing a car door shutting, but nothing else. Earlier that evening, Jean had been seen by her brother Rod's wife, Violet. Violet recounted that Jean had been at her mother's house, but had left crying. After attempting to go after Jean, Violet was stopped by Jean's mother, who told Violet that Jean would return. Jean was of Gitxsan descent. The Gitxsan were a First Nation, meaning south of the Arctic Circle, indigenous group. When Jean failed to return home that night, her mother reported her to the Jitsijiyukla Indian band, who, due to protocol, waited for some time to report the disappearance to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The search for Jean continued for 8 days, with police officers from other towns joining the search. Alas, despite tip-offs in larger cities such as Vancouver and Toronto, no trace of Jean was found. A 1971 report from the Jitsijiyukla band chief counsellor determined that Jean had drowned, and the case was formally closed in 1985, only to be subsequently reopened after the family complained that there was no conclusive evidence that Jean had drowned. For Jean to have simply vanished was as alarming as it was strange, and subsequent events in the area fueled more sinister theories about the case. Her brother Rod alleged that he had seen files stating that a man named Kenny Russell had found some footprints near Jitsi-Giukla River. Although the footprints were never identified, this was the piece of evidence said to be behind the drowning theory. Rather mysteriously, Jean's boyfriend had gone missing soon before she disappeared herself, but was found drowned in the Skeena River nearby. The authorities initially thought that Jean may have committed suicide, but once again, this theory was dispelled as Jean was not known to be a suicide risk. The most chilling theory is that Jean was the second of the first 3 victims of the Highway of Tears, a stretch of Highway 16 where between 18 and 83 people have either gone missing or been murdered since 1970. This theory is supported by the car door noise her cousin heard on the night she disappeared. Worryingly, there is known to be disproportionately high numbers of murders and disappearances of Indigenous women on the victim list. Jean Virginia Samper may well have been number 2 on that list. The disappearance of Susan Pearson. In 1966, a woman by the name of Susan Elizabeth Pearson was last seen in Missoula, Montana, and has not been seen since. Miss Pearson, an American woman from Portland, Oregon, went missing due to mysterious circumstances. She had been a graduate student at the University of Montana and was teaching there as an instructor at the time of her disappearance, days before her doctoral thesis was due. She was last seen by her friends on campus, as she was meant to take her business administration exam but never arrived. Likewise, Susan missed 2 work checks meant for her adding up to $1,200, which were never claimed. Initial searches for the woman were futile, yet when the police checked her apartment, they found it in pristine condition, untouched with not a single sign of struggle. Her car was soon thereafter found completely abandoned in Missoula's business district. Her belongings were still in the car when the police checked it. They found her keys, purse, and other necessities inside, ones that any sane person would never leave unattended. Bones were found in 1970, but were analysed and found to be animal remains. Susan Elizabeth Pearson is one of the oldest missing persons cases Montana has had in the past century. Curiously, Miss Pearson was the granddaughter of Walter Pearson, Oregon's Democratic senator. Susan King, who was one of Susan Pearson's friends and a prominent singer at a nightclub, told the police that she had visited her on the night before her sudden disappearance, and that Pearson was in a frantic, nervous state. It was just a different Sue, she had stated. A prominent piece of the puzzle was the information King also received. Pearson mentioned leaving her life behind to begin anew in her frantic state. Later, she added that 2 delinquent boys from the course she was teaching threatened her with physical violence. Pearson's brother, David, added that it appeared his sister rushed out of her apartment and the tea kettle was left to boil on the stove. Days after her disappearance, there was a report of a sighting in Lolo Pass, but evidence of her actually being there is non-existent. No further sightings were ever reported. The Buash map shows Antarctica without ice. For over 40,000 years, Antarctica has been covered by glaciers and snow, making it one of the most inhospitable places on the planet. The ice makes it impossible for Antarctica to be a home to any humans. However, there are some thinkers who believe this wasn't always so. The Buash map was drawn by French geographer Philippe Buache. Buache drew his maps by combining his geographic knowledge, research from contemporary explorers, and astronomical observation. The map he produced in 1739 was titled in French. However, when translated, it means Map of the Southern Lands contained between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Pole, where the new discoveries made in 1739 to the south of the Cape of Good Hope may be seen. The biggest discovery on Buache's map was that it appeared to depict Antarctica before it was buried by ice, leading some explorers and geographers to use it as evidence that Antarctica was inhabited by an ancient civilization before being rediscovered in the 19th century. The most famous proponent of this theory was Charles Hapgood, who published Buash's map in his 1966 book Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings. However, the arguments of Hapgood and others have been met with criticism. Firstly, many argue that Hapgood did not take care in translating Buash's annotations on the map before publishing it, and if he had, he would have realized that Buash did not mean to depict an ice-free Antarctica. For example, there are multiple annotations over Antarctica on the map where Buash has written conjecturé and soupçonné, which translate as conjectured and suspected, showing Buash himself was not sure that human life could survive on Antarctica. What's more, the annotations also make frequent references to icebergs, freezing temperatures and glaciers over Antarctica. Icebergs are even drawn on the map. Therefore, for many, the argument that Buash was using the map to claim Antarctica was ice-free would be ludicrous. Secondly, two versions of Buash's map were created, one which shows Antarctica with ice and one without. This has led some to suspect that the latter version of Buash's map might have been drawn by another cartographer or even forged. Thirdly, there is every possibility that Buash was mistaken. Buash was a highly qualified man who was one of the foremost theoretical geographers, and a lot of deductions on his map have proved true. For example, the existence of Alaska and the Bering Strait. However, that is not to say his work was faultless. His map shows New Zealand as a peninsula of the Antarctic landmass and a central Antarctic Sea, both of which are incorrect. It's possible the map was drawn by Buash, but showing an ice-free Antarctica that could have housed an ancient civilization was just another mistake he made. The truth of the matter is, we will never know if Antarctica was once home to an ancient civilization. In some areas of Antarctica, there are 30 tons of ice weighing down on the land's surface. If this ice were to be removed, the land would be so low that sea levels would immediately flood it. Frustratingly, this means there is no way to prove or disprove Buash's map and the theories that have come from it.
The Paris catacombs, a vast subterranean labyrinth beneath the streets of Paris, have long captured the imagination of adventurers, historians, and thrill-seekers alike. Originally built as quarries to mine limestone during the Roman era, the catacombs were later repurposed as a mass burial site in the 18th century, housing the remains of more than 6 million Parisians. In the 1990s, chilling found footage emerged, capturing the harrowing journey of a man who got lost within the catacombs and was never seen again. The Paris catacombs encompass more than 200 miles of underground tunnels, chambers and galleries, making it one of the largest ossuaries in the world. Over the centuries, the catacombs have served various purposes, from a clandestine meeting place for revolutionaries during the French Revolution to a hideout for members of the French resistance during World War II. Despite the fascinating history of the catacombs, their vast and labyrinth nature presents a significant danger to those who venture off the designated paths. The maze of tunnels can be disorienting, and inexperienced explorers run the risk of becoming lost or trapped within the catacombs. In the early 1990s, a group of Parisian catacomb explorers, known as cataphiles, stumbled upon a discarded video camera deep within the tunnels. The camera contained a chilling piece of found footage, which captured the journey of an unidentified man as he ventured deeper into the catacombs, eventually becoming disoriented and lost. The footage shows the man's mounting panic and desperation as he navigates the seemingly endless maze of tunnels, before ultimately abandoning his camera and disappearing into the darkness. The found footage was later aired in a 2000 documentary titled The Forbidden Paris Catacombs, sparking widespread interest and speculation about the identity and fate of the lost explorer. The authenticity of the found footage has been a subject of debate among skeptics and enthusiasts alike. While some believe the footage to be a genuine documentation of the man's harrowing experience, others have argued that it could be an elaborate hoax staged to create a sensational story. Nevertheless, the footage has prompted numerous investigations and search efforts to uncover the identity of the lost explorer and determine his ultimate fate. Despite these efforts, the man's identity remains unknown, and no trace of him has been found within the catacombs. Several theories have been proposed to explain the man's disappearance, ranging from the possibility that he succumbed to hypothermia or dehydration in the tunnels, to the more sinister notion that he was intentionally led astray by malicious individuals or supernatural forces. Nonetheless, the existence of the footage can be supported by an argument, given that no one has come forward to claim the ownership of it ever since it was initially broadcasted almost 2 decades ago. Even those involved in the documentary haven't made much noise around it, leading many to believe that it's unlikely that they're benefiting from it financially. Assuming the authenticity of the found footage, the main concern is to uncover the fate of the individual. Investigating this specific topic has posed difficulties in terms of reliable sources, given the scarcity of information available. Although various sources have linked paranormal activity to the video, researchers who live close to the area believe that a more plausible explanation can be derived. The catacombs consist of tunnels that extend for 150 to 200 miles, making it easy to become disoriented and lost. As evident from past rescues of stranded teenagers, it's not uncommon for people to lose their way amidst the catacombs. With temperatures averaging at 60 degrees Fahrenheit, it's possible that the man in the video lost his bearings and eventually succumbed to hypothermia. The enigma of the found footage of the lost Paris catacombs explorer continues to captivate and mystify those who delve into the dark history of this subterranean ossuary. The chilling footage serves as a stark reminder of the dangers inherent in venturing into the catacombs, as well as a testament to the enduring allure of the unknown. The fate of the lost explorer remains a mystery, shrouded in the shadows of the Parisian underworld and the murky depths of human imagination. The chilling atmosphere and macabre history of this subterranean world have given rise to countless legends, ghost stories, and tales of supernatural encounters. The Paris catacombs originated as limestone quarries during the Roman era, supplying materials for the city's construction. By the 18th century, Paris was grappling with the issue of overcrowded cemeteries, particularly the Central Cemetery of the Innocents, which was becoming a public health hazard. To address this problem, authorities decided to convert the abandoned quarries into an ossuary, a process that began in 1786 and continued until the mid-19th century. The bones from the overcrowded cemeteries were transported to the catacombs with great ceremony, blessed by priests and carefully arranged in artistic patterns. The dark, labyrinthine nature of the catacombs, combined with their macabre history, has fostered an atmosphere ripe for supernatural speculation. Over time, numerous legends have emerged, with some claiming that the tunnels are haunted by the spirits of those whose remains lie within, while others speak of the ghosts of revolutionaries and members of the French resistance who once sought refuge in the tunnels. Many visitors have reported inexplicable occurrences, such as sudden drops in temperature, unexplained noises, and even apparitions. Some believe that the spirits trapped within the tunnels are restless and tormented, drawn to the living who venture into their realm. In addition to ghostly encounters, there are also tales of mysterious creatures dwelling in the depths of the tunnels, further fueling the supernatural aura that surrounds this subterranean world. These legends have been perpetuated and amplified by popular culture, with the tunnels serving as the setting for numerous novels, films, and television shows that explore the theme of the haunted and the unknown. The Paris catacombs continue to captivate and intrigue visitors from around the world, drawn to their chilling history and the potential for supernatural encounters. The legends of the haunted catacombs also serve as a source of inspiration for those seeking to delve into the realms of the paranormal. Many ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts have ventured into the tunnels, armed with equipment designed to detect and document supernatural phenomena, in the hope of capturing definitive evidence of the spirits that are said to dwell within. The haunting history of the Paris catacombs is a testament to the enduring fascination with the unknown and the supernatural. The chilling atmosphere, combined with the macabre history of this subterranean world, has given rise to countless legends and ghost stories that continue to captivate the imagination. As a site of cultural and historical significance, the catacombs serve as a powerful reminder of the mysteries of the afterlife, drawing visitors from around the world. Today, the tunnels house the remains of an estimated 6 million people, making them one of the largest ossuaries in the world. The tunnels are a significant cultural and historical site, offering a unique window into the city's past. They serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of human life and the passage of time. Each year, thousands of tourists descend into the depths of the catacombs, eager to experience the eerie atmosphere and learn about their history. In recent years, there has been a growing interest in cataphiles, urban explorers who venture off the designated paths to explore the forbidden sections of the catacombs. While these adventures can be thrilling, they are also dangerous, as the tunnels can be disorienting and treacherous. Many who've explored the tunnels have said that there's evidence of residual haunting. Residual haunting is a term used in the field of paranormal research to describe a type of haunting that is believed to be a mere playback of past events, rather than an active interaction with an intelligent spirit. This phenomenon has been the subject of much debate and speculation among paranormal enthusiasts and skeptics alike. Residual haunting is a phenomenon in which seemingly paranormal occurrences appear to be replaying events from the past, often in a repetitive and consistent manner. These hauntings are believed to be the result of powerful emotions or traumatic experiences that have left an indelible imprint on the environment, causing the events to replay like a recording. Unlike traditional hauntings, which involve an intelligent spirit actively interacting with the living, residual hauntings are thought to be devoid of any conscious presence. Instead, they are said to be merely an echo of the past, with no ability to interact or communicate with the living. The concept of residual haunting has led to several theories attempting to explain the phenomenon. One popular explanation is the stone tape theory, which posits that certain materials, such as stone or metal, can absorb and store the energy of past events. When the right conditions are present, this stored energy may be released, allowing the events to replay in a seemingly paranormal manner. Another theory suggests that residual hauntings may be the result of a psychic imprint left by powerful emotions or experiences. This psychic energy may become embedded in the environment and can be perceived by individuals who are sensitive to such energy, resulting in the perception of a haunting. It is important to note that these theories, while intriguing, remain speculative and have not been empirically proven. Critics argue that the concept of residual haunting may be an attempt to rationalize seemingly inexplicable phenomena, attributing them to natural or psychological causes rather than supernatural intervention. The concept of residual haunting has found its way into various forms of popular culture, including literature, film, and television. Stories of residual hauntings often focus on the eerie nature of witnessing past events unfold, as if they were occurring in real time, with the characters in the story struggling to understand and come to terms with the phenomenon. These tales often serve as a metaphor for the enduring power of the past and its ability to continue to impact the present. Additionally, the concept of residual haunting can serve as a source of inspiration for those interested in exploring the mysterious and unknown realms of the paranormal. The existence of residual hauntings remains a contentious issue, with skeptics arguing that such phenomena can be more readily explained by psychological factors, such as suggestibility and the power of expectation, rather than supernatural intervention. However, proponents of the residual haunting theory point to the consistency and specificity of reported experiences as evidence of a genuine paranormal phenomenon. While definitive proof of residual hauntings remains elusive, the concept continues to fascinate and captivate those interested in exploring the mysteries of the paranormal world. Residual haunting is a captivating concept that offers a unique perspective on the nature of paranormal phenomena. While the existence of residual hauntings remains a topic of debate and speculation, the concept continues to intrigue and inspire those interested in the paranormal world. Whether seen as echoes of the past, psychic imprints, or a mere figment of the imagination, residual hauntings serve as a powerful reminder of the enduring fascination with the unknown and the mysterious world beyond our understanding. The Madison County Sheriff's Office posted the following on social media. The Madison County Sheriff's Office is investigating the passing and mutilation of cattle along TXOSR. Ranchers reported that a 6-year-old Longhorn Cross cow had been found lying on her side, deceased and disfigured on their ranch. A straight, clean cut, with apparent precision, had been made to remove the hide around the cow's mouth on one side, leaving the meat under the removed hide untouched. The tongue was also completely removed from the body with no blood spill. It was noted there were no signs of struggle, and the grass around the cow was undisturbed. No footprints or tire tracks were noted in the area. Ranchers also reported that no predators or birds would scavenge the remains of the cow, leaving it to decay untouched for several weeks. While looking into the Longhorn Cross's passing, 5 other similar occurrences involving 4 adult cows and 1 yearling were reported along the area of OSR running into Brazos County, as well as Robertson County. Each incident occurred in different locations, pastures, and herds. The other cows were found in the same condition, lying on one side with the exposed side of their face cut along the jawline and the tongue, once again completely removed. On 2 of the 5 cows, a circular cut was made, removing the insides. This circular cut was made with the same precision as the cuts noted around the jawlines of each cow. Just like the first, there were no signs of struggle or disturbance in the grass, no blood spill, and no noticeable tracks. No predators or birds would scavenge the remains for several weeks after the animals passed. The cause of the expirations of all 6 cows remains unknown. Multiple similar incidents have been reported across the United States, and we are actively coordinating with other agencies to find answers. Please notify the Madison County Sheriff's Office if you or someone you know observes any similar occurrences. End quote. Cattle mutilation is a phenomenon in which cattle and other livestock are found in mysterious circumstances, often with their insides removed or mangled in a precise and surgical manner. This has been a topic of debate and controversy for several decades, with many speculating that advanced beings or secret government agencies are responsible for the mutilations. Oddly enough, many of these instances happen within the span of a few hours, with ranchers and eyewitnesses reporting that no human could have done this in such a short time span. One of the first reported cases dates back to the late 1960s in the United States, but ranchers have said that these strange events go back even further, and note that it was in the 1960s that the reports were picked up by newspapers. Farmers and ranchers began to notice their livestock passing away in strange ways, saying that in many cases, the animals were found with their udders, tongues, and eyes removed, as well as strange circular marks on their skin. The marks appeared to be cauterized or burned, suggesting the use of some kind of surgical tool. The animals were also found without any signs of struggle or predation, leading to speculation that something otherworldly was responsible. Over the years, several theories have emerged to explain what is happening, with some believing that advanced beings are responsible, using the animals for medical experimentation or to study the effects of Earth's environment. Others believe that the government or military is involved, using the animals to test biological weapons or to experiment with advanced surgical techniques. But those who've studied the phenomenon have said that why would government officials risk getting caught, noting that the government owns private land and that it would be much easier to do this on some government facility rather than sneaking into a random farm. The Upper Ohio River Valley investigation. The earliest known study into sudden cattle expirations of the modern day began in the state of Ohio back in 1966, when an investigator known as John Keel began to look into a series of unexplainable cases that were recorded around the Upper Ohio River Valley. The cattle seemed to have passed away due to bizarre circumstances that were otherwise impossible to have occurred naturally. Instances of animal autopsies showed that a number of cattle had passed away shortly after falling from a great height, despite the fact that the pastures were wide expanses of flat, endless land, with no heights great enough to have caused the injuries recorded. Other instances noted that the cattle appeared to have been cut up with precision tools that created perfectly straight lines in the livestock in their thick hide that would have required special surgical equipment. A list of consistent findings were the following. Many of the livestock expirations were made with clean surgical cuts that would have required precise tools and equipment. Many of the cattle found had been completely drained of blood, showed no sign of spillage in the surrounding area or any form of clotting surrounding their wounds. Over 90% of the cattle that was targeted was between the age of 4 to 5 years old. No footprints, spillage, tracks, or evidence of any other animal nearby could be found, including the tracks of the animal that had been found. These discoveries and subsequent livestock investigations stayed within the farming communities for several decades, without the general public aware of the events. One theory as to why mysterious aircrafts might be interested in cattle is related to the idea that they are using the animals for scientific research. Many of the body parts that are removed in cattle exploration cases are similar to those that would be taken in a scientific study. For example, the eyes might be removed to study the retina, or the organs might be taken to study the effects of radiation on cells. Some researchers also believe that the explorations are a form of biological sampling in order to study the effects of environmental toxins on the animals, with ranchers saying that strange burn marks have sometimes been found etched into the ground, and that there's been high levels of radiation measured after one of these explorations has happened. Another theory is that the cattle explorations are part of a larger agenda. Some people believe that mysterious aircrafts are interested in cattle because they are using them as a food source. Others believe that the explorations are part of a program where the animals are being genetically altered in some way. Although scientists and researchers have said that there is no concrete evidence to support these claims, as of right now, they remain popular among enthusiasts. Some researchers have also proposed that the explorations may be related to experimentation or surveillance. They suggest that some unknown agency may be testing new technology on cattle or using the animals as part of a surveillance program. While this theory is also largely unsupported, it is not outside the realm of possibility given the history of government experimentation on both animals and humans. The mystery of the Skinwalker Ranch encounter. Skinwalker Ranch is no stranger to the supernatural. In fact, the area is so familiar with the unexplainable that it led to a joint investigation between the privately owned company Bigelow Aerospace and the United States government's military, the Department of Defense. Over a period of about 20 years, a joint investigation was made to uncover the cause of the paranormal, supernatural, and mysterious sightings made across the area and determine whether or not the cause was a threat to national security. This led to the purchasing of a piece of land that would later be referred to as the Skinwalker Ranch, due to the region's massive amount of sightings of a mysterious humanoid monster known as the Skinwalker. Interestingly enough, over the 20 years of investigation, a surprising amount of evidence came forward that would help to explain the previously believed paranormal causes into something far more evident of advanced technologies. One of the strangest examples of supernatural encounters from the Gorman family was that of the instantaneous cattle exploration that took place no more than about 20 feet away from them as they fed their livestock. According to the Gorman family, their cattle had been in a small field together with a baby calf resting beside its mother as the cows were being fed. Suddenly, the family claimed that the mother cow began bellowing sadly as it ran in circles with a partial limp that seemed to be a form of temporary paralysis. When the family walked to the cow to see what was wrong, they noticed that the calf had been opened up and picked completely clean with a precision that was more akin to surgical tools, and this happened in the few seconds it took them to walk from the calf down the field 20 feet and then back again. When the researchers investigated the exploration, they found that the hide of the calf was too thick to have been cut by a knife and would have required surgical tools and a large amount of time to have performed the procedure, leaving behind nothing but an untouched head and a skeleton picked completely clean. It's for this reason that some have suggested that a time slip might be happening within this area, pointing out that it's impossible for something like this to be carried out in such little time, saying that the area where this is located is completely open and that they would have seen vehicles or people running away. Oddly enough, although these stories seem like a work of fiction, there's so many ranchers throughout the area that report the same thing and have said that the problem is so bad that it's causing some of them to close down their business. One of the earliest investigations into cattle explorations was conducted in the 1970s by the FBI. The agency was brought in to investigate the exploration of a cow in New Mexico, which was found with its udder removed and completely drained. The FBI conducted an extensive investigation, including collecting physical evidence and interviewing witnesses. However, they were unable to determine the cause of the exploration and concluded that it was likely the result of natural causes or predators. Since then, many other investigations have been conducted into cattle explorations, with various organizations trying to find an explanation for the phenomenon. Many prominent organizations have investigated these mysterious events, and have concluded that hundreds of cases of cattle expirations are not caused by people playing pranks, and that many of their investigations have suggested that advanced activity may be involved. According to these investigations, many of the cattle expirations they have investigated exhibit strange characteristics that suggest the involvement of advanced beings. These characteristics include the surgical precision of the cuts made on the animals, the apparent lack of blood at the scene, and the absence of tracks or footprints near the site of the expiration. In some cases, witnesses have also reported seeing strange lights or objects in the sky around the time of the expiration. Despite these claims, there is still no conclusive evidence linking cattle expiration to advanced activity or any other cause. Some skeptics suggest that the expiration are simply the work of human pranksters, while others believe that natural causes or predators are responsible. In some cases, it has been suggested that the expiration may be the result of animal testing by private organizations. As investigations into cattle expirations continue, it is clear that there is still much that is unknown about this strange phenomenon. However, the interest in and attention given to these cases have helped to raise awareness of the importance of investigating unexplained phenomena and the need for scientific rigor in such investigations. The ongoing search for answers also underscores the importance of keeping an open mind and considering all possible explanations, no matter how unlikely they may seem. As of right now, cattle expirations remain a mysterious phenomenon that has intrigued and puzzled investigators for decades. While many investigations have been conducted into these cases, the cause of the expirations remains unknown. The involvement of advanced activity has been suggested, but no conclusive evidence has been found to support this theory. As investigations into cattle expirations continue, it is important to approach the phenomenon with an open mind and a commitment to scientific rigor in the hope of one day unraveling the mystery behind these bizarre occurrences. In the lush, rolling hills of Devon, England, where ancient woodlands meet the quiet countryside, stories of mythical creatures have long been part of the local folklore. Among these tales, one man's account stands out for its consistency and the compelling evidence he has gathered over the years. David, a resident of Devon, claims to have seen fairies, tiny winged creatures often considered mere myth since his childhood. His most remarkable experience occurred in the summer of 2021, when he captured a photograph of a fairy hovering close to him, adding a tangible element to a lifetime of extraordinary encounters. David's journey with the fairy folk began when he was just a boy, growing up in a small village nestled within the Devon countryside. From a young age, he was drawn to the natural world, spending hours exploring the woods, streams, and fields that surrounded his home. It was during one of these solitary explorations, at the age of 7, that he first encountered a fairy. As David recalls, he was sitting by a small stream, watching the water flow over the rocks, when he noticed a glimmer of light dancing just above the surface. At first, he thought it was a reflection, or perhaps a trick of the light, but as he watched, the light took on a more defined shape, a tiny, humanoid figure with delicate wings, hovering just inches above the water. The fairy, as he came to understand it, appeared curious but unafraid, watching him with bright, intelligent eyes before flitting away into the trees. Over the years, David's encounters with these ethereal beings became more frequent. He would see them darting between flowers, resting on branches, or hovering near the edge of the woods at dusk. While he occasionally shared his experiences with close family and friends, he quickly learned that most people were skeptical, dismissing his sightings as mere imagination or childhood fantasy. Yet, David knew what he had seen and felt a deep, abiding connection to the fairies and the natural world they inhabited. In 2021, David's lifelong belief in the existence of fairies was validated in a way he had never imagined. Armed with a camera, he ventured into the woods near his home, hoping to capture the beauty of the landscape at sunset. As he walked along a familiar path, he felt the now familiar sensation that he was not alone. He had experienced this feeling many times before, the sense that the air was alive with unseen presences. Suddenly, just as he was about to photograph a particularly striking cluster of wildflowers, David noticed a small figure hovering in the air ahead of him. This time, however, the fairy did not flit away. Instead, it seemed to be drawn closer, as if curious about the camera he held. With a steady hand and a racing heart, David raised his camera and snapped several photos. When he later reviewed the images, there, in the center of the frame, was a clear, unmistakable image of a tiny, winged creature. The fairy, no more than a few inches tall, had delicate, translucent wings that glimmered in the sunlight. Its body was slender and humanoid, with arms, legs, and even discernible facial features. The photograph was unlike anything he had ever seen, capturing in vivid detail the very beings he had known existed since childhood. For David, the photograph was not just proof of the existence of fairies, it was a culmination of a lifelong relationship with the mystical. Unlike many who might consider such encounters rare or fantastical, David viewed them as part of the natural world, a world that, in his view, was much richer and more complex than most people realized. He believed that fairies were guardians of the natural world, existing in a realm just beyond human perception, but intertwined with the life of the earth. To him, his ability to see these creatures was not a gift, but a responsibility. He saw himself as a bridge between the human and fairy realms, with a duty to protect the natural world that the fairies called home. Over the years, he had developed a deep understanding of the behavior and habits of the fairies. He noted that they were most active at dawn and dusk, often appearing near water or in places of natural beauty. He also observed that they were curious but cautious, often watching from a distance unless they felt safe. His encounters were never threatening, rather they were marked by a sense of mutual respect and quiet wonder. After capturing the photograph, David felt a renewed sense of purpose. He decided it was time to share his story with a broader audience, not to seek fame or fortune, but to raise awareness of the delicate balance between humans and the natural world. He began giving talks, showing his photograph and recounting his experiences. While some remained skeptical, others were intrigued, moved by the sincerity and consistency of his accounts. David's story resonated particularly with those who, like him, felt a deep connection to nature and believed in the possibility of worlds beyond the visible. His photograph served as a focal point for discussions about the importance of preserving natural spaces, not just for humans, but for all the creatures, seen and unseen, that inhabit them. England's folklore is a vibrant and enduring tapestry, woven from centuries of myths, legends, and cultural traditions. This rich body of folklore, deeply rooted in the landscape and history of England, is populated by an array of legendary creatures that have fascinated and terrified people for generations. These beings, from benevolent spirits to malevolent monsters, reflect the fears, hopes, and values of the societies that created them. The folklore of England is a product of the country's complex history, shaped by the influences of various cultures and peoples who have inhabited the land over millennia. The Celts, Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Norse, and Normans all left their mark on English culture, contributing to a diverse and rich tradition of storytelling. Many of England's legendary creatures have their origins in these early cultures, evolving over time as they were passed down through generations. Folklore served as a way for communities to explain the natural world, communicate moral lessons, and preserve their cultural identity. In a time before scientific understanding, these stories provided explanations for the mysteries of nature, the changing seasons, and the forces of good and evil. They also reinforced social norms and values, often through tales of heroes, tricksters, and cautionary figures. In the shadowy forests of the Forest of Dean, an ancient woodland in Gloucestershire, England, tales of a mysterious and formidable creature have been whispered for centuries. Known as the Beast of Dean, this cryptid is said to resemble a giant wild boar, terrifying locals and inspiring a mixture of fear and fascination. The legend of the Beast of Dean is a compelling example of how folklore and the natural world intersect, creating stories that capture the imagination and endure through generations. The Forest of Dean, with its dense woods, deep valleys, and rich wildlife, has long been a place of mystery and legend. The forest has been inhabited since prehistoric times, and its history is steeped in ancient traditions and folklore. It is within this context that the story of the Beast of Dean emerged, likely as a blend of natural history and myth. The first recorded accounts of the Beast of Dean date back to the 19th century, when reports began to circulate of a large, boar-like creature roaming the forest. According to these reports, the beast was enormous, far larger than any known wild boar, and was responsible for attacking livestock, uprooting crops, and instilling fear in those who ventured too close to its domain. Some accounts even suggested that the creature was invulnerable to bullets, adding a supernatural element to its legend. The Beast of Dean quickly became the subject of local folklore, with stories of its sightings passed down through generations. The legend gained further traction as local hunters and farmers attempted to track and capture the creature, often to no avail. Despite numerous efforts, the beast always seemed to elude capture, reinforcing its reputation as a mysterious and elusive cryptid. Descriptions of the Beast of Dean vary, but certain characteristics are commonly mentioned in the accounts. The creature is typically described as resembling a wild boar, but much larger, with some reports claiming it to be the size of a small cow. It is said to have thick, bristly fur, sharp tusks, and a powerful, muscular build. The beast is often depicted as being aggressive and territorial, capable of inflicting significant damage to its surroundings. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Beast of Dean legend is its supposed invulnerability. According to some stories, the creature could not be harmed by conventional weapons, making it nearly impossible to capture. This detail adds a supernatural element to the legend, suggesting that the beast may not be a mere animal, but something otherworldly or enchanted. The beast's behavior is also a subject of fascination. It is often described as being nocturnal, emerging from the depths of the forest at night to forage or hunt. Its presence is often marked by signs of destruction, such as trampled crops, damaged fences, and disturbed livestock. The beast's elusive nature, combined with its fearsome reputation, has contributed to its status as a cryptid, a creature whose existence is suggested by anecdotal evidence but not scientifically proven. While the legend of the Beast of Dean has captured the imagination of many, there are several possible explanations for the creature's origins and characteristics. Some suggest that the beast may be based on actual encounters with large wild boars or escaped domestic pigs that have gone feral. In the 19th century, wild boars were reintroduced to parts of England, including the Forest of Dean, after being extinct in the wild for centuries. It is possible that sightings of unusually large boars, combined with the fear and fascination they inspired, gave rise to the legend of the Beast of Dean. Another explanation is that the beast is a product of exaggerated storytelling and folklore. In rural communities, stories of dangerous or mysterious creatures often served as cautionary tales, warning people to be cautious and respectful of the natural world. The Beast of Dean may have been a way for people to explain unexplained events, such as livestock deaths or crop damage, by attributing them to a fearsome creature lurking in the forest. There is also the possibility that the Beast of Dean is a form of cryptid, an unknown or undiscovered species that has yet to be scientifically documented. While this explanation is less likely, given the lack of concrete evidence, it cannot be entirely dismissed. Cryptids have long been a part of folklore and popular culture, representing the possibility that there are still mysteries in the natural world waiting to be uncovered. The legend of the Beast of Dean has endured into the modern era, continuing to inspire curiosity and interest. The creature has become a symbol of the Forest of Dean's wild and untamed nature, embodying the sense of mystery and adventure that the forest evokes. The legend is celebrated in local culture, with references to the beast appearing in literature, art, and even tourism. The story of the Beast of Dean also reflects broader themes in English folklore, such as the tension between humanity and the natural world, the fear of the unknown, and the power of storytelling to shape perceptions of reality. Like many legendary creatures, the Beast of Dean serves as a reminder of the deep connection between people and the landscapes they inhabit, as well as the enduring allure of the mysterious and unexplained. As of right now, the Beast of Dean is a fascinating example of how folklore can transform ordinary animals into legendary creatures that captivate the imagination. Whether based on real encounters with large wild boars or purely the product of myth, the legend of the Beast of Dean continues to be a vital part of the cultural heritage of the Forest of Dean. As long as the forest remains, so too will the stories of the beast, reminding us that there are still mysteries in the world that defy easy explanation. Popocatépetl, the majestic and active stratovolcano located in Mexico, has long held a place of reverence in indigenous cultures and captivated the imagination of locals and tourists alike. However, in recent decades, it has become a hotspot for another kind of phenomenon that defies easy explanation: the frequent sightings of unidentified objects above its peaks. Anonymous have just posted an interesting video showing mysterious objects flying in and out of the volcano. The volcano's unique geological characteristics could play a role in the prevalence of mysterious sightings. With an elevation of over 5,400 meters, its towering presence pierces through the clouds and becomes an ideal vantage point for skyward observations. The volcanic activity, including eruptions and emissions of gases, could create unusual atmospheric phenomena that could be misinterpreted as unidentified objects. Light reflections from the volcano's activity and clouds might also contribute to optical illusions, further complicating the distinction between natural occurrences and extraordinary sightings. However, many who have witnessed these objects have said that they have the ability to hover motionless and fly directly into the volcano, something that hasn't been documented with natural occurrences. Indigenous cultures in the region have revered the volcano as a sacred entity for centuries. It is intricately woven into mythology, often associated with deities and cosmic significance. The cultural heritage surrounding the volcano could influence local perceptions and interpretations of unusual phenomena. Legends and stories passed down through generations might predispose individuals to attribute extraordinary sightings to mystical or supernatural events, including unidentified objects. In recent years, there has been a notable shift in the reputation of this volcano. While it was once known for its natural beauty and majestic presence, it has now gained attention for something altogether different. Both residents and online observers who have been monitoring the volcano through webcams have observed mysterious aircrafts flying directly into the volcano. Numerous reports claim that what is observed near the volcano is not merely ash, but rather peculiar entities and luminous phenomena frequently spotted hovering in the vicinity. Some witnesses even allege that these enigmatic objects are capable of entering and exiting the volcano, further adding to their mysterious nature. The presence of these unexplained lights and unidentified aerial phenomena has intrigued and perplexed many observers. Moreover, the webcam footage has not only captured the mesmerizing sight of meteors hurtling directly into the volcano, but has also revealed instances of multiple meteor occurrences in a single night. This phenomenon, which has left many in awe, is considered to be incredibly rare, defying the slim probabilities of such events taking place consecutively. Consequently, the astonishing footage has prompted users to explore alternative explanations and theories, seeking to unravel the mystery behind this captivating spectacle. The reasons behind the curiosity of these objects towards this particular volcano are still a topic of debate. However, it is worth noting that on multiple occasions throughout the year, peculiar objects have been observed in close proximity to this volcano, which has spurred the creation of intriguing theories regarding why this volcano seems to attract such attention. An in-depth exploration of these theories can shed light on the possible explanations for why this volcano serves as a significant focal point for these mysterious objects. The volcano has garnered significant attention from amateur researchers due to numerous reported sightings. This has led to its classification as a hotspot, as users have observed multiple unidentified objects in the vicinity of the volcano. It's worth noting that these observations are merely a fraction of the total sightings, as they represent only the instances captured on camera. The frequency and volume of these unusual objects have piqued the curiosity of researchers, prompting a comprehensive exploration of this phenomenon. In-depth investigations are underway to unravel the mystery surrounding these sightings and understand the nature of these enigmatic objects. Residents residing in close proximity to the area have reported frequent sightings of luminous lights in the vicinity of the volcano. This phenomenon has intrigued the residents, as it appears that these lights possess a peculiar fascination with the volcano itself. Interestingly, these sightings are not limited to the immediate vicinity of the volcanic area. Photographic evidence has revealed that these mysterious lights also traverse in and out of the volcano. This intriguing observation raises questions about the nature and purpose of these lights, leaving researchers and locals alike wondering about their origin and significance. Glowing orbs, frequently captured on webcams, are commonly observed objects that have gained significant attention worldwide. They are widely regarded as one of the most frequently reported mysterious flying objects. These ethereal spheres pose a considerable challenge to photograph, as they manifest as mere luminous smudges when captured on camera. Their elusive and enigmatic nature has intrigued people from various cultures and regions around the globe, sparking a sense of curiosity and fascination. As of right now, amateur researchers have questioned whether these unidentified objects are interested in volcanoes. The skies above Earth have long been the canvas for mysterious phenomena, none more captivating than unidentified objects. These enigmatic aerial apparitions have been reported in various contexts and locales, sparking curiosity and speculation. One particularly intriguing scenario involves unidentified objects allegedly showing interest in volcanoes. Volcanoes are geological marvels, releasing immense energy from the Earth's depths. Some theories speculate that mysterious objects could be harnessing this energy for their own purposes. Volcanic activity generates high levels of thermal energy, electromagnetic fields, and even plasma discharges, elements that might hold significance for advanced civilizations. It's conceivable that unidentified objects could be utilizing these powerful energy sources for propulsion, communication, or other technological functions beyond our comprehension. Volcanic landscapes on Earth are abundant with unique mineral formations and geological structures. Advanced visitors might be interested in studying or extracting these resources, which could have properties or applications unexplored by human science. This could include elements used in advanced technology, rare minerals, or materials that hold intrinsic value in interstellar trade or research. These mysterious objects could be engaged in scientific exploration and observation of Earth's geological processes. Volcanoes are dynamic natural laboratories, offering insights into planetary formation and tectonic activity. For a technologically advanced civilization, observing and studying Earth's geological phenomena could contribute to their understanding of planetary evolution and even help them predict natural disasters. Speculative theories propose that unidentified objects might be using volcanoes as entry points into Earth's interior. The complex network of underground tunnels and chambers created by volcanic activity could provide covert access for advanced spacecraft. Volcanic regions could offer hidden bases, shielded from human detection and accessible through natural openings created by lava flows. Volcanic areas possess immense geothermal energy potential. These aircrafts might be tapping into this energy source for various purposes, from recharging their craft to powering advanced technologies. The abundance of geothermal heat could be harnessed through advanced energy conversion methods, aligning with the sustainability principles of an advanced civilization. The Sumerian civilization, nestled in the fertile lands of Mesopotamia, is renowned for its pioneering contributions to human history. Among its many achievements, the Sumerians left behind intricate carvings and artifacts that offer tantalizing hints of their advanced understanding of various aspects of life. A subject of intrigue and debate in recent times has been the presence of what appear to be timekeeping devices, often referred to as Sumerian watches, depicted in these ancient carvings. Intriguing carvings and depictions found in Sumerian artifacts have captivated researchers and enthusiasts alike. Among these carvings, some appear to portray what modern eyes might interpret as wristwatches. These objects, nestled on the wrists of various figures, stand out as anomalies within the context of ancient Mesopotamia. The Sumerians were renowned for their advanced understanding of various scientific, mathematical, and astronomical concepts. They were early architects of complex mathematics, the cuneiform writing system, and even the concept of the 60-minute hour. However, The existence of wristwatch-like devices raises questions about their potential knowledge of timekeeping mechanisms that would seem technologically incongruous for their era. In the carvings, individuals are depicted with cylindrical objects resembling modern wristwatches on their wrists. These objects display circular shapes and are accompanied by peculiar appendages that suggest possible crowns or dials. The specificity of their placement and design has led to speculation that these depictions could indeed represent timekeeping devices of some kind. While the idea of wristwatches in ancient Mesopotamia may seem anachronistic, it's important to remember that ancient civilizations had various means of measuring time, often using sundials, water clocks, and celestial observations. The Sumerians, with their advanced knowledge of astronomy, might have devised mechanisms to track time with impressive accuracy, even if they differ significantly from modern wristwatches. Some scholars argue that the wristwatch-like objects may not have been intended to represent functional timekeeping devices. Instead, they suggest that these objects could carry symbolic or ritualistic significance. In ancient cultures, time was often intertwined with religious and cosmic beliefs, and the depiction of these objects could have carried deeper meanings related to the passage of time and the cosmos. The presence of these wristwatch-like objects highlights the complexity of Sumerian culture and the intricacies of their artistic representation. Whether the carvings truly depict timekeeping devices or not, they provide a unique window into the Sumerian perception of time and the objects they associated with it. The depiction of wristwatch-like objects on Sumerian carvings remains a subject of intense debate. Skeptics argue that these objects could be simple adornments, amulets, or representations of tools unrelated to timekeeping. Furthermore, they point out the limitations of Sumerian technology in producing actual wristwatches as we understand them today. The presence of Sumerian watches on ancient carvings invites us to reflect on the challenges of interpreting artifacts from bygone eras. It underscores the delicate balance between recognizing the sophistication of ancient civilizations and avoiding the imposition of modern perspectives onto their achievements. Regardless of whether the wristwatch-like objects were functional timekeeping devices, symbols of cosmic significance, or artistic renderings, they serve as a reminder of the mysteries that linger in the shadows of ancient history. These enigmatic carvings compel us to continue our exploration of the Sumerian civilization, its beliefs, and its contributions to human progress. The Sumerians' knowledge of the cosmos. The clay disc contains a star map from ancient Sumerian civilization. The ancient Sumerians had a certain level of astronomical knowledge, as seen in their records. Unfortunately, much of this knowledge has been lost over time, and only a few fragments remain to give us a glimpse into their understanding of the universe. The Babylonian astronomical knowledge, in comparison to the later standards of Babylonian astronomy, seems relatively rudimentary. Ancient clay tablets from Babylon that have withstood the test of time since the beginning of Mesopotamian civilization document the earliest recorded instance of a total solar eclipse observed in Ugarit. The majority of our knowledge regarding their involvement in ancient astronomy comes from the Babylonian culture, which indirectly transmitted this information. In early Babylonian records, Sumerian star names are used, indicating the existence of a shared body of knowledge that was passed down through generations. A Sumerian seal depicts the sun positioned in the middle of 11 celestial objects. The Sumerians appeared to possess knowledge of the heliocentric nature of the solar system. Within certain tablets, they documented the presence of 11 celestial bodies or planets. The celestial bodies known as planets and moons, traditionally totaling 9 planets and 2 moons, have been observed. However, there is some uncertainty surrounding the exact composition and understanding of these bodies in relation to their rotation around the sun. A 12th celestial object has been discovered outside of our solar system. Scientists are currently engaged in the endeavor of identifying an entity that potentially exists in an orbit beyond the outer planets of our solar system. The knowledge of our solar system was already present among the Sumerians, who lived about 3,000 years before the ancient Greek astronomers. They recorded their understanding of the solar system on clay tablets, using cuneiform writing and illustrations. This information predates the ancient Greeks' knowledge of the subject by several millennia. The Sumerian civilization is widely regarded as the birthplace of human civilization and is recognized as the oldest in human history, with a history that dates back more than 8,000 years. This ancient settlement and civilization emerged in the region known as Mesopotamia, which encompasses present-day Iraq, parts of Iran, Anatolia, and Central Asia. The Sumerians had a highly developed culture and society, encompassing a well-established government, educational institutions, social structure, reliable food sources, religious beliefs, artistic expression, advanced mathematics, astronomy, astrology, medicine, various technologies, and numerous significant innovations. The ancient civilization developed a method of written communication utilizing wedge-shaped symbols known as cuneiform. They meticulously recorded their historical information and documents on clay tablets. Moreover, they demonstrated their innovation by creating musical instruments like the golden harp, as well as crafting exquisite jewelry, metallic objects, stoneware, and textiles. In the Sumerian cosmology, the universe was intricately woven with mythology and spirituality. The Sumerians believed that the universe was populated by a pantheon of deities who held sway over various aspects of existence. Enlil, the god of air and storms, and Anu, the god of the heavens, were just a few of the celestial beings believed to influence human affairs. The Sumerians closely observed the movements of celestial bodies, attributing significance to their positions in the sky. The cyclical patterns of the sun, moon, and stars were seen as reflections of the divine will, affecting everything from agricultural cycles to the fates of kings and kingdoms. The celestial bodies were considered divine messengers, carrying messages from the gods to the earthly realm. Ziggurats, towering stepped temples, were architectural marvels that dominated Sumerian cityscapes. These structures held profound cosmological significance, often being built with precise astronomical alignments. Ziggurats were designed to mirror the celestial order, with their corners aligned to the cardinal points of the compass, paying homage to the heavens and symbolizing the connection between the earthly and divine realms. The Sumerians believed in a hierarchical cosmic order where the divine and mortal realms were intricately interconnected. They viewed the universe as a structured continuum, with the gods residing in the heavens above and humans inhabiting the earthly plane. This belief fostered a sense of responsibility to maintain harmony and appease the deities through offerings and prayers. Their strange creation myth. One of the biggest mysteries of the ancient Sumerian culture appears to be that of the inspiration and tale of their mysterious creation myth. According to the ancient Sumerians, their oldest scriptures tell of the earth being inhabited by human-like gods that had come from the stars. These beings made attempts to make the world habitable and quickly began to toil the soil and mine the world for minerals that could be used. After a while, the gods referred that their labor was too great and refused to have to work at such an impossible task on their own. This led to one of the gods proposing to create human beings that could be made in their likeness using the body of another god of whom they could force to work to gather minerals and toil the ground. Originally, the humans that had been created were unable to reproduce and have children, as the gods were fearful of them multiplying. However, this quickly changed after two gods granted humans the ability to reproduce, allowing them to also leave the Eden they inhabited, a land that is translated to mean a flat terrain. This angered one of the gods, leading to a massive conflict to which one of the gods became the enemy of man, and the other became the ruler of man, and allowed them to be fruitful and multiply over the world. These terms of modifications, creation, and the formation of an Eden have left many wondering instead that perhaps these ancient biblically similar accounts are evidence of advanced beings having genetically created and modified humans as a labor force, only to be given equal rights and abilities that have slowly evolved. The mysterious origin of their language. Though many aspects of the ancient Sumerian origins are shrouded in mystery, there is none more so mysterious than that of the origin and formation of the ancient Sumerian spoken language that is possibly among one of the oldest spoken and written languages in the history of humanity. When the first few written artifacts were gathered from that of the ancient Sumerian civilization, Many believed that the spoken language of the ancient civilization was that of Akkadian, a language used by the Semitic people throughout the region, as the written alphabet of cuneiform seemed to have matched the Akkadian writings and styles. Further gathered evidence proved that the language of the people was a distinct language now completely forgotten, with no surviving remnants of the spoken dialect that predated the Akkadian usage, as well as being the first formed written language in history, soon being adopted by the Semitic people and used as a written language for many more millennia after the fall of the ancient Sumerian civilization. This loss of the language have left many experts puzzling over its formation, influence, and possible similar-sounding language descendants in the modern day to trace the evolution of language across humanity. Though it was, at one time, believed that the Akkadian language was similar to that of the Sumerian, given the adoption of cuneiform, it is now known that the language may not have sounded anything alike and seems to be a relic of the past, with no evidence or trace of such a dialect existing in the modern day. Uncovering the mysteries of the language could prove to help researchers to better understand the formation of languages, the evolution of languages over time, as well as the major influences that the ancient Sumerian civilization had, being one of the first ever civilizations to have risen around the world. Throughout history, various ancient civilizations and cultures have left behind intriguing artifacts and symbols that continue to baffle archaeologists and historians. One enigmatic motif that has captured attention is the depiction of a handbag in ancient carvings, sculptures, and artworks found across different countries and cultures. Interestingly, a man came forward and said that he discovered one of these handbags in the Middle East. He went on to detail that he's a digger that looks for ancient artifacts, and notes that many of his discoveries have been sent to museums across the world. He shared this photograph with us, saying that it was his most recent discovery and that it closely resembled those handbags that can be seen in ancient Sumerian carvings. The man said that the handbag is a symbol characterized by its distinct shape and handle, and has been discovered in diverse regions and time periods. From ancient Egypt to Mesopotamia, from Mesoamerica to Easter Island, representations of this enigmatic object have been unearthed, suggesting a shared significance across vast distances and cultural boundaries. The handbag appears in reliefs, statues, and hieroglyphs, raising questions about its symbolic meaning and potential cultural exchange. Oddly enough, he said that when he discovered this artifact, someone approached him about buying it. He found this strange, as at the time he didn't tell anyone about the discovery, and found it odd how this individual knew about this object. The digger said the man was very keen to buy it and asked whether anyone had seen it, at which point he said that he hadn't shared any photographs of it. What the man found strange about this individual was how badly they wanted this artifact, and the digger said that to this day this was the most expensive item he sold, saying that the mysterious individual gave him tens of thousands of dollars for it. When the digger asked the man about his name and where he was from, he said that the strange individual ignored him, but did say that before he left, the man said that if he found any more of these items, that he would be in contact. The digger found this strange, as he had never seen this man before and couldn't understand where he came from and how he knew about this discovery. Luckily enough, the digger had taken some photographs of the objects shortly before he was approached and was able to share them with us. As of right now, the digger is baffled by the experience and couldn't understand why the man wanted the object so desperately. He didn't take a photograph of him, but did describe him as being very tall, wearing a black suit with black shoes and talking in a very monotone voice. He said that he's never seen the man before and that he didn't blend in with anyone from the area. The digger said that he has no idea where the artifact was taken or whether it was purchased by a museum or for himself. Scholars and researchers have proposed various interpretations for the handbag symbol. Some believe it represents a vessel of power or knowledge carrying the secrets of ancient civilizations or spiritual wisdom. Others associate it with the concept of rebirth, symbolizing the journey of the soul or the transition between different realms. The handbag has also been linked to prosperity, suggesting a connection to rituals or beliefs related to sustenance and growth. The presence of the handbag symbol across different cultures and geographical locations highlights the possibility of cross-cultural connections and exchanges in ancient times. It suggests that ancient civilizations might have shared ideas, concepts, or even physical artifacts through trade routes, migrations, or cultural interactions. The symbolic journey of the handbag implies a common thread that unites seemingly disparate cultures in their understanding of the world and its mysteries. The handbag symbol has sparked numerous theories and speculations. Some propose advanced influence, suggesting that ancient civilizations received advanced knowledge or technology from otherworldly beings. Others interpret it as a symbol of a lost civilization or an ancient global culture that predates known history. However, these theories remain speculative, and further research and archaeological evidence are necessary to provide conclusive explanations. The enigmatic handbag symbol found in ancient carvings across cultures and countries continues to captivate the imagination and provoke questions about our shared human experience. Its presence suggests a common language of symbolism that transcended time and geographic boundaries. While interpretations vary, the handbag remains a potent symbol representing mystery, power, and hidden knowledge. Unraveling its true meaning requires interdisciplinary research, comparative analysis, and a deeper understanding of the cultures that left behind these ancient depictions. The handbag symbol invites us to embark on a symbolic journey, connecting the threads of humanity's past and offering a glimpse into the universal concepts that unite us. The ancient Sumerians, who inhabited the land of Mesopotamia, present-day southern Iraq, between the 4th and 3rd millennia BCE, were a remarkable civilization that laid the foundation for many aspects of human culture and civilization. Central to their worldview was a diverse pantheon of gods and goddesses, each associated with different aspects of life, nature, and the divine order. The Sumerian pantheon was a complex assembly of gods and goddesses, with each deity holding specific dominion over various realms. Among the prominent deities were Anu, the god of the heavens, Enlil, the lord of the air and storms, and Inanna, the goddess of love. The divine hierarchy established the power dynamics among the gods, with Enlil often regarded as the highest authority. Sumerian mythology featured captivating creation stories and narratives that explained the origins of the universe and humanity. One of the most renowned tales is the Enuma Elish, which describes the struggle for supremacy between the gods, culminating in the creation of the world. Another notable myth involves the epic hero Gilgamesh, who embarks on a quest for immortality, showcasing themes of mortality, friendship, and the nature of divinity. The gods played a significant role in Sumerian society, influencing various aspects of life, from governance and law to agriculture and warfare. The king, as the representative of the gods on earth, held a sacred role and derived his authority from divine endorsement. Legal codes and administrative systems were established with the gods' guidance, ensuring justice, order, and social harmony. Additionally, the gods were invoked for protection, success in battle, and bountiful harvests. Sumerian religion and mythology had a profound impact on subsequent cultures in Mesopotamia and beyond. One of the most significant contributions of the Sumerians was the development of the first known writing system, known as cuneiform. Using wedge-shaped impressions on clay tablets, Sumerian scribes recorded economic transactions, religious texts, historical accounts, and literature. Cuneiform was a complex system that allowed for the dissemination of knowledge, fostering the growth of literature and the preservation of cultural heritage. The Sumerians established some of the earliest known legal codes, such as the Code of Ur-Nammu and the Code of Lipit Ishtar, which laid the groundwork for later legal systems. These codes emphasized justice, fairness, and the protection of individual rights. Additionally, the Sumerians developed administrative systems, with officials responsible for taxation, record-keeping, and maintaining public infrastructure. These innovations facilitated governance and the efficient management of a growing society. The Sumerians had a rich and complex religious belief system centered around polytheism. They worshipped a diverse pantheon of gods and goddesses, each associated with different aspects of life, nature, and the divine order. Their religious rituals and ceremonies played a vital role in society, ensuring the well-being and prosperity of their communities. The legacy of the Sumerians extends far beyond their own civilization. Their inventions and cultural achievements heavily influenced later civilizations in Mesopotamia and beyond. The cuneiform script spread to other cultures, including the Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians. Legal principles and administrative systems developed by the Sumerians provided a blueprint for future governance structures. Sumerian myths and religious motifs influenced the pantheons and beliefs of subsequent cultures. The Sumerians laid the groundwork for the development of urbanization, agriculture, and complex social structures, leaving an indelible mark on human history. The Sumerians harnessed their ingenuity to improve agricultural practices and maximize productivity. They constructed intricate irrigation systems, such as canals and dikes, to divert water from rivers and distribute it to their fields. This allowed for year-round cultivation, enhancing crop yields and supporting a growing population. The use of the plough, pulled by oxen, revolutionized farming by facilitating efficient tilling of the soil and preparing it for planting. The Sumerians were skilled in working with metals, particularly copper and bronze. They developed techniques to extract and refine these metals, enabling the production of tools, weapons, and decorative objects. Copper and bronze alloys were employed in the creation of intricate jewelry, statuettes, and ornamental items, showcasing the Sumerians' artistic sensibilities and craftsmanship. The Sumerians recognized the importance of transportation and trade for their expanding civilization. They constructed road networks connecting various city-states and established river trade routes, utilizing boats and barges to transport goods along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Their mastery of watercraft allowed for efficient movement of goods, facilitating trade with distant regions and fostering cultural exchange. Sumerian architecture reflected their advanced understanding of engineering principles. They constructed impressive structures using mud bricks, designing multi-story buildings with flat roofs and intricate facades. The Sumerians developed innovative construction methods, including the use of arches, vaults, and buttresses, which provided stability and allowed for the construction of monumental edifices such as ziggurats and city walls.
Joseph of Cupertino levitation. Saint Joseph of Cupertino is a character of legend. It's reported that by his mid-20s he was able to take to the skies and float around effortlessly. The beginning of Joseph's life was truly challenging and tragic. For one, his father passed away, leaving a mountain of debt that caused his family home to be confiscated. His mother was forced to give birth to him in a shed behind that house, inside which they hid from the creditors. She was far from capable of truly caring for Joseph, as he needed her to physically, mentally, and emotionally. She was unable to feed him well, and he was undernourished and sickly from the beginning. She became frustrated with him and could not hold back abusing him and taking out her frustrations on him. Later in life, Joseph was unable to learn at school or in an apprenticeship with a shoemaker. Many people who met Joseph supposedly reported him as dull and absent-minded, unable to form thoughts into speech and communicate like his peers. In fact, the only thing he seemed interested and capable of was becoming a servant of a monastery. He was transformed by this, became much gentler and kinder, and began begging for the poor. In time, he would be given another chance and become a Catholic priest in 1628. Many occurrences of Joseph's flights from then on are proclaimed. He was said to have flown up to plant a cross into its socket for some labourers, soar into the sky and hover over a crowd of people during a feast, and was even witnessed levitating by Pope Urban VIII. This earned him the nickname the Flying Saint. He was also reported to unblind and cure many sick children, so much so that the ill began to seek him out. Miracle of the Sun in Fatima. In 1917 in Fatima, Portugal, many people claimed to have witnessed the sun moving. As they looked up into the sky, it became a well-defined, dull, great white disk which spun around and moved about the sky above them. Some witnesses say they saw the sun come closer to them, while others saw everything in a deep amethyst color. One thing is for sure though, this was no ordinary Friday. Around noon that day in Fatima, spectators of the phenomenon began to see a change in the atmospheric conditions. Prior to this, it had been muddy and wet, and the air around them seemed to change. Then, as described by one man who was present, the sun started breaking. Nobody had any clue what was going on, and their view of our nearest star began warping and shifting. It appeared to spin and whir around in the sky, changing colors, and some thought it even came closer to the earth. The wind started to blow. Witnesses began to confess their sins, and soon enough, they realized the ground was dry. Their clothes were also dry. Many witnesses of this event believe it to be a true miracle, and supposedly the event quelled a growing atheist population at the time. Skeptics would probably point to optical distortions caused by clouds called sundogs, visual disturbances caused by staring at the sun, or even some sort of collective delusion. After all, there is no evidence that it rained as much as some witnesses claimed it did. Also, if the sun itself began moving and changing, it's likely that some of the millions of other people below the same sun would have reported the same things. All these people in Fatima, however, were there to witness a miracle told in Christian prophecy. It's quite possible that while expecting to witness a miracle, they happened to see some disturbances in their optical view of the sun due to clouds of ice crystals or stratospheric dust. While possible that reports such as that of seeing a violet hue over everything were due to retinal damage from staring at the sun for too long, the biggest hole in the story is that most of the reports of the event have differing details. Some saw purple everywhere. Some others saw a blue and yellow sun, and some say it was brighter, clearer, and closer. Regardless of what you truly believe occurred in Fatima in October of 1917, the phenomenon is historic and mystical.
Iron Crown of Lombardy. According to historians, the Iron Crown of Lombardy was made during the early Middle Ages in the 4th or 5th century. It consists of a large ring of gold that is fitted with a silver band and some precious jewels, all fitted around an iron ring. It is believed that the Iron Crown contains a 1 centimeter wide iron band that was beaten out of one of the nails used at the crucifixion of Jesus. The crown became a symbol of the Kingdom of Lombards. Later, it was in the custody of the medieval Kingdom of Italy and was used for the coronation of kings in Italy during the 11th and 14th century. Today, this mysterious ancient relic is present in the Cathedral of Monza, which is located near Milan in Italy. According to the popular tradition, the crown was made by Saint Helena, who was the mother of Constantine the Great. She had discovered a nail from the true cross when she ordered to forge a crown around the beaten nail. She believed that it would bring blessings and good fortune to her son. Later, the crown was passed to Theodolena, who was a princess of the Lombards. She received it as a gift from Pope Gregory the Great. In 628 AD, Princess Theodolena donated the crown to the church in Monza. There has been a strong argument amongst the religious scholars over the authenticity of the nail that was used to forge the crown. To this day, there is no consensus about its authenticity. However, it is kept at the Cathedral of Monza just outside of Milan and is considered to be a sacred relic. According to the cathedral authorities, the inner iron ring of the crown is in perfect condition and has shown no signs of rusting, despite being made thousands of years ago. In one of the studies conducted in 1985, it was revealed that magnets do not get attracted to the crown's iron ring. Like many other artifacts associated to Jesus, this artifact is also likely to be a subject of debate amongst historians as well as the religious scholars for many decades to come. Gabriel Amorth was a Catholic priest and the chief exorcist of the Vatican. He was born in Modena, Italy, in 1925 and was ordained a priest in 1954. Amorth became involved in exorcism in the 1980s and was appointed as the chief exorcist of the Vatican in 1986, a position he held until his passing in 2016. Amorth was known for his outspoken views on the subject of possession and the practice of exorcism. He estimated that he had personally conducted tens of thousands of exorcisms during his career, and was a strong advocate for the Catholic Church's teachings on the reality of the devil and the need for exorcisms. Perhaps one of the most terrifying things he said during his life was that he believed the devil was inside the Vatican. In an interview with the Italian newspaper La Repubblica, Father Gabriele Amorth, a leading exorcist in the Catholic Church, defends his work, as well as that of the Association of Exorcists. According to Amorth, although the devil is not omnipresent, his presence can cause immense pain and suffering. The ritual of exorcism is a complex and challenging process that requires the full will of a man, and detailed that this can have physical and psychological effects on the human body, many of which you never recover from. As per his claim, he has successfully treated more than 70,000 cases of demonic possession. The evil spirit is believed to be pure spirit, and thus is considered invincible. When a person is possessed by the devil, they are often heard blurting out painful blasphemies. It is also said that the devil can remain hidden for long periods of time and can speak in different languages. These attributes of the devil are widely acknowledged, but those involved in this phenomena have said that you need to be incredibly well versed in order to be able to take on this entity. According to Father Amorth, he has the ability to transform himself, but at the time admitted that he was not scared of this gift. During his time as an exorcist, he carried around artifacts in a small pouch and believed that God had chosen him for this work. However, when he was asked if the devil could strike inside Vatican City, Father Amorth became serious and started to show slight discomfort. Despite his fearlessness, at the time he understood the gravity of the question and the potential consequences of such an encounter with this entity. This highlights the importance of spiritual protection in even the most holy of places. The individual in question has a history of attempts to cause harm to religious figures, particularly those of the Catholic faith. Back in 1981, Father Amorth detailed that the devil attacked John Paul II. Father Amorth said that although this dark entity was inside the Vatican, he never feared it and always felt like God was behind him. He said that it's for this reason that he kept the position of lead exorcist for so long, and detailed that many people were cured during his time at the church, noting that after they were fixed, they never exhibited any other problems. Demonic possession is a topic that is often debated, and opinions may vary depending on cultural, religious, and scientific beliefs. From a religious or spiritual perspective, demonic possession is typically seen as a serious and real phenomenon that requires intervention from a trained exorcist or spiritual leader. In some cultures, such as those with strong belief in the supernatural, demonic possession is taken very seriously and treated as a legitimate concern. From a scientific perspective, there is little evidence to support the existence of demonic possession. The symptoms attributed to possession can often be explained by natural causes. Regardless of one's beliefs, it is important to approach cases of suspected possession with compassion, empathy, and an open mind. The Catholic Church considers exorcism as a religious practice that involves the expulsion of evil spirits or demons from a person who is believed to be possessed. The Catholic Church has a specific set of guidelines for performing exorcisms, and only authorized priests who have received special training are allowed to perform them. The Catholic Church recognizes that demonic possession is a rare phenomenon, and they emphasize the importance of ruling out other possible explanations, such as natural illnesses, before attempting an exorcism. Before performing an exorcism, the priest is required to obtain permission from the bishop of their diocese, who will typically consult with medical professionals and mental health experts to confirm that there is no other explanation for the person's symptoms. During an exorcism, the priest will typically pray, read from the Bible, and use holy water and other religious objects to try to expel the demon. The exorcism may take place in a church or other religious setting, and the person being exorcised may be restrained to prevent harm to themselves or others. The Catholic Church stresses the importance of treating the person with compassion and respect during the exorcism process. Overall, the Catholic Church takes the issue of demonic possession seriously, but also recognizes the importance of approaching the issue with caution and discernment.
The Zozo demon. The Zozo demon is a spirit who you may not have heard of. This mysterious and newly discovered entity is not one to take lightly, and the story of its existence is as frightening as it is interesting. The Zozo demon is a mischievous spiritual entity that makes contact with humans through the use of Ouija boards. Those who have reported to coming into contact with Zozo state that he reveals himself by guiding those using the Ouija board into making figure eights, before moving frantically between the letters Z and O. Zozo's interactions with humans often begin friendly and cordial, but they soon turn frightening. Zozo has been reported to curse and threaten those who are present at the Ouija board. Believers in the existence of Zozo state that he has his origins in ancient times, dating back to societies from thousands of years ago in Africa. Still, his beginnings are shrouded in mystery. However, the first textual reference to Zozo first happened in 1818, in a book with the story of a young village girl who stated that she had been possessed by 3 different demons called Mimi, Crapule, and one named Zozo. In 2009, after years of obscurity, the demonic presence of Zozo began to undergo significant popularity through the work of a man named Darren Evans. Evans, a man from Oklahoma in the United States, claimed that he had come into contact with a demon called Zozo. Evans published his accounts through a website. In his post, Evans detailed how he had been interested in ghosts and the occult from a young age. Still, he admitted he had never seen or experienced anything like the demon Zozo. Zozo was different. Evans stated that Zozo revealed himself regularly, too many times to count. Zozo would adopt the presence of a friendly spirit before changing to more aggressive behavior, often cursing in what Evans described as looked like Latin or Hebrew. I was genuinely fascinated and startled by how many times Zozo showed up, even in many different states and many different Ouija boards, Evans wrote in his famous post. He continued to assert that Zozo also made many threats against his young daughter, who was still a toddler. Evans claims that Zozo nearly drowned her in the bathtub and infected her with an unknown affliction or illness. He stated this is when he began to suspect a demonic attack. The post by Evans soon started to gain traction among fans of the paranormal online. Readers began to tell their own stories, many with striking similarities to that of Evans. Whether or not you believe in Evans' story, many who fear the occult certainly do. In 2012, an independent feature film named I Am Zozo was released, which actually features a cameo by Darren Evans himself. Asag, the monstrous demon. Many demons that are reported to enact cruel punishments upon humans today actually trace their histories back to ancient Sumer. Sumer is the earliest known civilization to emerge from southern Mesopotamia, and the culture of Sumer was founded on stories of the Mesopotamian underworld, which was filled with a wide array of horrific demons. Asag, known for his ability to make fish boil alive in water just by his presence alone, is a monstrous and dangerous demon. Upon his arrival, Asag was believed to be accompanied into battle with his army of rock demon offspring. Asag is known to be a large, round creature with 3 legs and 3 arms. Asag also has no neck and features eyes covering his entire body. His skin is dark and hard to the touch, almost like rock. In Sumerian legend, Asag is believed to be the cause of disease and plague. He is the sworn enemy of Ninurta, the Sumerian god of war, and was eventually defeated by Ninurta after fighting for days on end. Fulfilling his role of plague and disease, Asag was believed to linger inside a person's body and had the ability to enrobe any unfortunate human like their clothing. There are particular references to his ability to cause head fevers and to eventually cause loss of muscle function in his victims. It is believed that Asag was supposed to represent or was born out of racism and fear of the ancient Sumerian people. The Zagros Mountains and the Sumer region were home to groups like the Kassites, Guti, Assyrians, Elamites, and Mitanni. These groups would raid and attack Sumerian cities, and were thought as less than human by the ancient Mesopotamians. The dark, destructive demon of Asag is a direct parallel to this. Perhaps Asag is simply a symbolic myth, or perhaps something much more sinister grew from the fears of the ancient Sumerians.
Officials and locals in Peru have said that a mysterious incident took place on the night of August 29th in the Peruvian province of Chincheros, specifically in the district of Ocobamba. Oddly enough, this happened around the same time as mysterious entities were seen throughout the area, causing some of the locals to suggest that they may be behind what happened. Many have said that the event has been covered up, but local residents have expressed beliefs that the notorious chupacabra may be responsible. Upon discovery, the two farmers were surprised to find what they did. Each sheep had a conspicuous and profound cavity in its head, while the lambs had their eyes extracted. Upon further investigation, it was revealed that a significant number of sheep had also undergone the removal of certain organs. The distressing sequence of events began with farmer Emilia Ruiz Santos, who tragically discovered 16 of her sheep scattered on the ground just outside the enclosure where they had spent the night. Notably, another farmer named Segundina Quispe, residing in Palomino, faced the same distressing ordeal when 14 of her sheep were found in the same condition, mirroring the unsettling circumstances observed by Emilia Ruiz Santos. After receiving complaints, the Ocobamba police station promptly responded by sending their members along with civil defense agents from the municipality of Ocobamba to the affected area. In order to determine the cause of their passing, a coordinated effort was made with the National Agricultural Health Service. It was of utmost importance to thoroughly investigate this incident, as it had a profound impact on the local community, as stated by Ocobamba County Mayor Henry Vilches Arango. This comprehensive response demonstrates the commitment of the authorities to address the concerns raised and ensure the well-being of both the residents and the livestock in the region. The speaker also confirmed that, apart from the holes found in their heads, there were no further signs of injury on any of the sheep. This unsettling event took place in the morning, resulting in the tragic passing of more than 30 sheep. The exact reasons behind this incident remain unknown, leaving the community in a state of bewilderment and concern. Prior to this occurrence, such an unprecedented event had never taken place in the region, leading to a sense of disbelief among the entire population. As news of the incident spread rapidly throughout the community, residents began speculating and attributing the passing to the infamous chupacabra, a mysterious predator renowned for its attacks on animals. The incident in Ocobamba and its resemblance to cattle exploration has captured the attention of many. In both cases, the removal of organs from the animals is a common occurrence. Upon further investigation, representatives from SENASA, the National Health and Agricultural Food Quality and Safety Service, confirmed that they thoroughly examined the sheep. Their analysis led them to conclude that the cause of their passing was not due to any disease, but rather attributed to a wild animal attack. This finding sheds light on the mysterious circumstances surrounding these incidents and adds another layer of understanding to the peculiar phenomenon occurring in Ocobamba. Several lambs in the Andean highlands, located near the mentioned area, are experiencing brain injuries, including puncture wounds, as well as injuries to their eyes, characterized by severe damage or even loss. Others have come forward with similar encounters throughout the area. In the heart of the Peruvian highlands, a farmer named Juan Garcia found himself thrust into a puzzling and eerie mystery. As he tended to his flock of sheep one brisk morning, he made a chilling discovery that would send shockwaves through his community and ignite fears of the legendary chupacabra. Juan Garcia, a hard-working farmer in the Andean region of Peru, rose before the sun each day to tend to his small flock of sheep. The farmer said that his routine was simple and familiar. He would feed the animals, inspect their health, and ensure they were safe from predators. However, on that fateful morning, as he approached the grazing sheep, he noticed something disturbingly unusual. The chupacabra legend has fueled fear and intrigue across communities, especially in rural areas where livestock are essential for survival. Tales of inexplicable livestock passings and sightings of the elusive creature have contributed to the lore surrounding the chupacabra. Upon discovering the sheep with strange holes in them, Juan Garcia immediately contacted local authorities and veterinarians. The incident garnered significant attention in the region, as many villagers began to speculate about the involvement of the chupacabra. Veterinarians and animal experts conducted thorough examinations of the affected sheep, analyzing the holes and the surrounding tissue. Their findings were perplexing. The wounds did not match the patterns of common predators in the area, such as foxes or birds of prey. The legend of the chupacabra, like many folklore traditions, holds immense power over communities and individuals. It serves as a cultural framework for understanding and interpreting the unexplained. In the case of the sheep, the chupacabra legend offered a narrative that resonated with the eerie and unsettling nature of the injuries. Folklore allows communities to grapple with the unknown and the mysterious. It provides a means of coping with fear and uncertainty by attributing events to supernatural entities or forces. In Juan Garcia's village, the chupacabra was not just a creature of myth, it was a symbol of the inexplicable and a source of communal solidarity in the face of an enigmatic event. In the realms of Latin American folklore and paranormal mysteries, few creatures have captured the imagination as profoundly as the chupacabra. This enigmatic entity, whose name translates to goat sucker in Spanish, has carved out a lasting legacy as a fearsome and elusive predator, terrorizing rural communities and leaving a trail of mystery and intrigue. The chupacabra is believed to have originated in the latter part of the 20th century, with its earliest reported sightings occurring in Puerto Rico in the mid-1990s. These initial accounts described a creature that exhibited peculiar characteristics, including sharp fangs, red eyes, and spines along its back. Most notably, it was said to prey on livestock, particularly goats and chickens, by draining their blood through small, precise puncture wounds. The legend quickly spread across Latin America and beyond, fueled by reports of livestock mutilations and mysterious animal deaths attributed to the chupacabra. While the creature's physical description has varied over time and across regions, certain key traits, such as its blood-sucking tendencies and elusive nature, have remained consistent in the lore. The chupacabra has become a fixture in Latin American folklore, weaving its way into the narratives of rural communities. As a symbol of the unknown and the inexplicable, the chupacabra has served as a means of explaining unexplained livestock deaths, disappearances, and illnesses. In these stories, the chupacabra embodies the fears and anxieties of rural life, where livestock are often central to economic survival. The legend offers a way to grapple with the uncertainties of rural existence, attributing misfortunes to a supernatural predator rather than the complexities of nature. In various locations, there have been sightings and reports of a different variation of the chupacabra. Unlike the typical chupacabra, these creatures were smaller in size and walked on all fours. They bore resemblance to canines, although they lacked any fur on their bodies. Biologists who examined actual specimens concluded that these animals were either coyotes, dogs, or hybrids of the two. The bizarre appearance of these creatures was attributed to a condition called mange, which is caused by an infestation of mites. It is believed that these canines turned to attacking livestock because the infestation severely weakened them, making it difficult for them to hunt their natural prey in the wild. The news of the disturbing incidents involving Puerto Rican farm animals quickly spread, leading to a wave of complaints from farmers in several other countries. Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, and the United States all experienced a similar pattern of mysterious explorations among their own farm animals. The perplexing nature of these incidents left the farmers baffled as they struggled to find a plausible explanation for the sudden and widespread loss of their livestock. Discussions are abound regarding the alleged top-secret scientific experiments conducted by the US government within the confines of the El Yunque rainforest. This particular notion isn't considered too far-fetched by certain Puerto Ricans who already harbor feelings of being exploited by the Americans. In fact, they entertain the possibility that the US could have concocted a blood-sucking creature within the laboratory and subsequently unleashed it upon the local farmland, leading to significant damage and disruption. Such conjecture stems from a deep-rooted skepticism and mistrust, fueled by a history of perceived mistreatment and exploitation. In the pursuit of uncovering hidden treasures, Daryl Miklos undertook a deep investigation into the Caribbean region, using meticulously compiled maps from the 1960s by NASA astronaut Gordon Cooper. With precision and determination, he delved into over 100 magnetic anomalies spotted on these maps. Venturing into the depths of an undisclosed area close to the Bahamas, Miklos embarked on a quest to unravel the mysteries shrouding a potential ancient ship. The seasoned treasure hunter, in a twist of fate, stumbled upon an astonishing and peculiar structure that defied all expectations and left him in awe. This remarkable find was unlike anything he had seen before. The colossal, unidentified submerged object is accompanied by 15 obtrusions, each one stretching an impressive length of 300 feet, protruding prominently from the object. During a private interview, Miklos provided a detailed account of his findings while filming episode 7 of Cooper's Treasure. He passionately expressed his team's objective of recovering the remarkable aircraft from the depths of the ocean, shedding light on their ambitious endeavor. He said that during the filming, there was a specific moment that stuck in his mind. It was a scene in which he found himself seated inside a submersible, designed for 2 occupants. During his time in the Bahamas, he embarked on an intriguing adventure along the renowned shipwreck trail associated with the eminent historical figure Sir Francis Drake. During his attempt to analyze the shipwreck artifacts by referencing the anomaly readings on Gordon's charts, he stumbled upon a peculiar observation that completely took him by surprise. The formation he encountered was truly extraordinary and unlike anything he had ever witnessed in relation to shipwreck material. Its sheer size was far beyond what one would typically expect from such remnants. In this remarkable scenario, it is as if a wall cliff generously sprouted 5 colossal arms, each of which rivals the size of a battleship's gun. These arms are magnificently enormous, with another set of 5 arms adorning the opposite side, and yet another set of 5 on a different side, amounting to a grand total of 15 arms. This awe-inspiring image truly captivates the imagination with its sheer scale and magnitude. Based on his extensive experience in this field, he has come across 3 different areas where there are formations that appear to not be naturally occurring or the result of human activity. These formations do not resemble anything he has ever encountered before, despite his years of expertise in this area. Additionally, upon further investigation, they have identified multiple types of shipwreck materials, none of which correlate or bear any resemblance to these formations. It is intriguing to note that these formations stand out as unique and unexplained anomalies in the context of his work and observations. Diving to a depth of 300 feet below the surface, the explorers encountered the most profound section of the site. To safely explore this extreme depth, divers were equipped with specialized breathing apparatus and utilized a cutting-edge submarine. During the expedition, the exploratory team also stumbled upon numerous peculiar and enigmatic structures surrounding the central subject. These formations, adorned with an abundance of resilient coral growth, have intrigued the explorers, leading them to speculate on their age, estimating that they may date back hundreds, or perhaps even thousands of years. Miklos was filled with astonishment by the discovery he made. Upon returning to his ship, he made a conscious decision to delve deeper into Cooper's files, motivated by his willingness to uncover additional clues and unravel the mystery even further. In a noteworthy manner, the astronaut made a remarkable notation on the map of the region, opting to describe the sighting as an unidentified object, instead of referring to it as a known historical shipwreck. During Miklos's investigation of Gordon's charts, he came to the realization that there was an additional element that Gordon was making reference to. This discovery served as an important observation, shedding further light on the information presented in the charts. Upon further reflection, he began to comprehend the reason behind it not being classified as a shipwreck. He said that Cooper must have been alluding to the possibility of it being an object of advanced origin. Gordon held a firm belief in the existence of advanced beings. He was convinced that not only did these beings visit our planet from other worlds, but they also frequently chose this specific region as a landing location for their crafts or encounters. In a comprehensive and in-depth retelling, Miklos asserts that Gordon Cooper entrusted him with a valuable collection of maps. These meticulously crafted maps not only included highly detailed charts, but also provided precise coordinates, thereby increasing the chances of successful exploration and discovery. While unidentified flying objects have captivated our imagination for decades, a parallel enigma has been lurking beneath the world's oceans. Unidentified submerged objects. These elusive underwater anomalies have sparked intrigue and curiosity, raising questions about their nature, origin, and the possibility of life beneath the waves. Unidentified submerged object sightings date back centuries, with reports of strange underwater phenomena peppering maritime lore. In the 16th century, sailors documented sightings of luminous underwater objects that defied explanation. As time passed, these encounters persisted, leading to a variety of theories and speculations. One of the most famous early reports came from the USS Stein. The crew witnessed a large, fast-moving object in the water, tracked by sonar, and even detected visually. Despite extensive investigation, no conventional explanation was found. Unidentified submerged objects, like their airborne counterparts, come in various forms and exhibit a range of characteristics. Witnesses have reported seeing objects that glow with an otherworldly light, display rapid and erratic movements, and seem impervious to the crushing depths of the ocean. Some accounts describe objects emerging from and submerging into the water with astonishing speed, defying the laws of physics as we understand them. These reports share similarities with unidentified flying object sightings, suggesting a potential connection between the two phenomena. However, the underwater environment presents unique challenges for observation and investigation, making unidentified submerged objects even more elusive. The enigmatic nature of unidentified submerged objects has led to numerous theories and speculations about their origin and purpose. Some suggest that they could be the result of advanced, secret military technology or underwater research projects. Others propose that they may be natural phenomena, such as unusual geological formations or bioluminescent organisms. An intriguing theory is that unidentified submerged objects may be related to advanced life. Just as unidentified flying objects are often linked to potential visits from otherworldly beings, unidentified submerged objects could be evidence of submerged craft or bases. While these theories are speculative, they highlight the range of possibilities and mysteries surrounding these objects. Over the years, there have been numerous documented encounters. Notably, these encounters have been confirmed by radar, sonar, and visual observations by trained military personnel, lending credibility to the reports. However, despite these documented incidents, the mysteries surrounding unidentified submerged objects persist. The study of these mysterious objects remains a relatively underexplored field compared to UFO research. Limited funding and the challenges of underwater exploration contribute to the lack of comprehensive investigations. However, there is a growing interest in unraveling the mysteries of the deep, and advancements in technology are aiding efforts to better understand unidentified submerged objects. Underwater drones, improved sonar capabilities, and collaborative international research initiatives are all contributing to the search for answers. Scientists and researchers are increasingly acknowledging the significance of unidentified submerged object encounters and their potential implications for our understanding of the ocean and the universe. Naval forces rely on secure and unobstructed access to the world's oceans for various strategic and logistical reasons, including maintaining freedom of navigation, protecting national interests, and ensuring the security of sea-based assets like submarines and aircraft carriers. Any unexplained incursions into maritime territories could undermine these objectives. These underwater objects raise concerns about national security, particularly when they are observed near naval bases, vessels, or critical underwater infrastructure. The inability to identify the origin or intent of unidentified submerged objects can lead to uncertainties that affect naval readiness and response capabilities. These objects, with advanced capabilities, might infiltrate sensitive maritime areas to conduct surveillance, gather intelligence, or assess naval activities. Their capacity to remain undetected or to outmaneuver traditional naval defenses could compromise national security. If these objects are manifestations of advanced foreign technologies or covert underwater platforms, their presence could indicate the potential for technology transfer or espionage, the Navy must be vigilant in protecting classified information and naval assets. This farmer couldn't believe what he was seeing when he viewed his CCTV footage. As of right now, there's not much information to go by, and no news outlets picked up the story, which is odd because people can't seem to wrap their heads around what happened. Upon entering, his eyes widened in disbelief. There, amidst the hay and dust, lay a gaping hole in his barn roof. The wooden planks had splintered and shattered, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. The farmer began to panic as he surveyed the damage, wondering how such a catastrophe could have taken place. He rushed back to the house, clambering up the staircase to reach his office. The farmer had installed a security camera system on his property years ago, mainly to keep an eye on potential thieves. Now, those cameras might hold the key to unraveling the mystery of the damaged barn. He accessed the CCTV footage on his computer. He watched the playback, and what he saw left him utterly bewildered. In the dimly lit footage from the previous night, a bizarre sequence of events unfolded before him. One of his prized cows could be seen falling through the roof, with many saying that the cow was falling at speed and that it was like it had been dropped from a great height. As if guided by some unseen force, the cow suddenly shot through the roof, damaging the entire area. One farmer commented that in all of their years of owning a barn, they've never had a cow appear on top of it. Others questioned how such a large cow would be able to climb on top of the roof. It wasn't long before online users began to put forward their own theories for why the cow fell through the roof. The fascination with unidentified objects has endured for decades, captivating the imagination of people worldwide. While unidentified object sightings have been reported in various forms and locations, one of the more curious aspects of these encounters involves the mysterious interest in cattle. Throughout the history of sightings, a peculiar pattern has emerged. Cattle frequently feature in close encounters. Witnesses have reported a range of incidents involving unidentified objects and cattle. Reports of cattle found under mysterious circumstances often involve peculiar surgical precision, with organs and body parts removed with apparent surgical expertise. These cases have raised questions about the motivations behind these actions. Witnesses have claimed to see mysterious objects hovering above pastures and cattle being lifted into the air or taken aboard the craft. Those who have seen the video suggested that the cow may have been taken by one of these objects and dropped through the roof. The claims sound outlandish, but for several decades, farmers have reported seeing mysterious lights above their pastures. In some cases, unidentified object sightings have coincided with reports of cattle displaying unusual behavior, such as panic, agitation, or disorientation. Witnesses have noted that these changes in behavior seem to coincide with the presence of unidentified objects. Cattle explorations have been occurring for many years, with documented cases dating back as far as the late 19th century. However, it was during the 1970s that a noticeable increase in reported incidents occurred, primarily in the United States. In the years that followed this surge, regular reports of such explorations began to emerge from various corners of the globe, indicating a widespread phenomenon. These incidents, characterized by unexplained and precise dissections of cattle, have continued to perplex and intrigue researchers and investigators alike. Despite extensive research, we are no closer to understanding what causes these mysterious explorations. The occurrence of this phenomenon, although it has never completely disappeared from public attention, seemed to have diminished to some extent. However, over the past 25 years, the situation has taken a different turn. In fact, if anything, these events appear to be transpiring with increasing frequency. It is evident that they are becoming more prevalent and noteworthy. This trend, which has been observed in recent times, points towards a significant shift in the frequency and significance of these incidents. During the summer of 1990 in Vancouver, Canada, the residents found themselves caught in a series of inexplicable occurrences that lasted the entire season. Unusual sounds, reminiscent of machine-like noises, pervaded the skies across the region, perplexing the local inhabitants who were unaccustomed to such auditory phenomena. Adding to the enigma, a resident even recounted witnessing the presence of an unfamiliar figure in a nearby field. These forms of explorations are not restricted solely to the continent of North America. Moreover, researchers in the United Kingdom have conducted investigations that shed light on the potential perpetrators. The phenomenon spans beyond geographical boundaries and has captured the attention of experts worldwide. These experts have delved deep into their research, aiming to uncover the underlying causes and individuals or entities responsible for these mysterious explorations. According to the Animal Pathology Field Unit, there is an overwhelming certainty that advanced beings are the culprits behind the incidents of animal explorations, particularly those that have persistently plagued the Welsh region. The Animal Pathology Field Unit has conducted extensive research and analysis, leaving no room for doubt regarding the involvement of mysterious entities in these incidents. Wales, in particular, has experienced a significant increase in unidentified object activity, which directly corresponds to the surge in cases of animal explorations. The meticulous investigations conducted proved that many of these incidents could not have been done by humans. Investigator Phil Hoyle, a seasoned expert with years of experience in dealing with such cases, refutes the notion that these instances of animal explorations are linked to rituals. According to Hoyle, the level of precision and sophistication observed in these injuries indicates the potential involvement of advanced beings, the military, or perhaps even a combination of both. This suggests that there may be an underlying agenda or purpose behind these incidents. Over a span of 6 months, from 2011 to 2012, numerous well-known show horses experienced acts similar to those seen in cattle. Instances of these incidents were reported from various locations across the United Kingdom, sparking a wide range of theories. Speculations ranged from sinister rituals to clandestine government experiments, leaving the public perplexed and searching for answers. In the city of Shrewsbury, approximately a year before the present time of this account in 2010, farmers encountered a rather perplexing phenomenon. They witnessed strange occurrences involving their livestock, especially sheep. According to their reports, peculiar entities or objects would suspend themselves in mid-air above the animals, emitting a laser beam downwards onto them. During a particularly active phase of these unusual explorations, numerous individuals claimed to have observed strange orange lights in the sky. Several theories and hypotheses have emerged to explain the UFO-cattle connection, though none have been definitively proven. These theories offer intriguing possibilities for why unidentified objects might theoretically be interested in cattle. Some speculate that advanced beings, if indeed behind these sightings, might be conducting biological experiments involving Earth's flora and fauna. Cattle, as a large and easily accessible terrestrial species, could be a subject of interest for such studies. Cattle have been subjected to extensive genetic modification and breeding by humans for centuries. UFO interest in cattle could relate to advanced civilizations' curiosity about our genetic experiments and breeding practices, leading them to study these domesticated animals. In hypothetical scenarios, where advanced beings are facing resource scarcity on their home planets, they might consider terrestrial species, including cattle, as potential sources of sustenance or materials. This theory, however, raises ethical and logistical questions about the logistics of such an endeavor. Cattle grazing areas often cover vast expanses of land. Mysterious sightings near cattle ranches might be attributed to the extraterrestrial interest in monitoring environmental changes, possibly related to ecological concerns or Earth's shifting climate. Cattle hold significant cultural and symbolic value in many human societies. Mysterious sightings involving cattle might be part of extraterrestrial attempts at communication or interaction with our species, acknowledging the significance we attribute to these animals. Encounters involving cattle could serve a psychological purpose, potentially aimed at studying human reactions, belief systems, or societal responses to unusual events. This theory suggests that cattle serve as a proxy for human subjects in experiments. It is essential to approach the unidentified object and cattle connection with scientific skepticism and acknowledge that the evidence supporting these theories is largely anecdotal and circumstantial. Many sightings involving cattle lack definitive proof or concrete scientific data to establish causality or correlation. Although the most popular stories surrounding advanced phenomena tend to focus on the topics of sightings of mysterious crafts or supernatural occurrences featuring humanoid creatures, many researchers often forget that some of the strongest pieces of evidence of intervention appears to center around the disappearances of cattle and subsequent damages to livestock. The earliest known written record of bizarre animal surgeries and sudden disappearances of a large number of livestock comes from an official document dated sometime during the early 1600s, when an investigator for the court of James I of England claimed that impossible to explain mass expirations of sheep were being recorded all across London and nearby shires. It was originally believed that the sudden expirations of the sheep could have been caused by neighbouring farms competing in market production alongside hungry travellers that were committing theft as they travelled throughout London, of which was the most heavily populated region during the 1600s. However, when the investigations took place, evidence was found that seemed to reject the original hypothesis. According to the court investigator, the sheep were found to have expired through causes that were otherwise impossible to attribute to human activity. Their organs, meat, and fleece remained untouched, with only evidence of possible tallow removal, and blood having been completely drained from the animal with no spillage. Even more difficult to explain was the sheer number of sheep that suddenly expired in what farmers believed would have been over the course of only a few hours. The investigator wrote that in some cases, there were more than 100 sheep that suddenly expired, and no evidence of footprints or tracks that could point towards a group of people having perpetrated the crime. When the investigator asked around local regions that were at the epicenter of the series of sheep disappearances and expirations, many attributed the sight of brilliant fireworks nearby to have been the possible cause. Some believed that the fireworks could have scared the sheep and caused them to pass away in fright, whereas others believed that the lights they had seen in the sky could have had a more sinister purpose. The court ended the investigation by saying that around the city of London and some of the shires adjoining, whole expirations of sheep have been made, in some places the number reaching as high as 100. The phenomenon would continue for several decades before ending entirely. The most interesting aspect of these sheep disappearances seemed to bear remarkable resemblance to modern-day cattle disappearances and possible advanced intervention. When researching mass livestock expirations, it became obvious that cattle disappearances and surgeries are a fairly recent development, with the first recorded instances beginning during the 1800s to modern day. Many believe that the sudden change of livestock being targeted, from sheep to now cattle, appears to match directly with the world market and primary source of meat production during these times. When sheep disappearances, surgeries, and unexplained expirations were occurring en masse, the main meat export around the world centered around sheep populations. It's only been over the last couple of centuries that the role of cattle has slowly changed for the purpose of meat consumption. During the 1600s and late 1700s, when recorded instances of sheep expirations were occurring, cattle were predominantly used for labor and secondarily used for milk production. The vastness and intricacy of our world continue to captivate and bewilder us. With each passing day, we are confronted with astonishing discoveries that serve as a constant reminder of how much more there is to learn about our surroundings. Among the many intriguing phenomena circulating on social media, there is a photograph that has captured widespread attention. It purportedly depicts a colossal object traversing the expansive dunes of the Sahara Desert. The appearance of this enigmatic object has left observers perplexed and questioning the plausibility of such an immense entity journeying across such distances. This remarkable photograph has sparked a multitude of inquiries and speculation. How is it possible for an object of such magnitude to navigate the treacherous terrain of the desert? According to one user's suggestion, the large object in question could potentially be a stone that descended from one of the nearby mountains, thereby resulting in the substantial skid mark observed. However, an interesting point arises when examining the measurements, as the skid mark stretches over an impressive distance of 981 meters. This has raised doubts among some individuals regarding the plausibility of wind being capable of carrying such a massive object for such a considerable distance. The extended length of the skid mark has sparked speculation and prompted further inquiry into the likelihood of atmospheric forces being responsible for its transport. In response to the user's comment, another individual expressed their curiosity about the origin of the object, suggesting the possibility that it may have come from outer space. The observer further speculated that the object in question could potentially be a meteorite, and the visible trail behind it could be attributed to the impact of the object colliding with the ground. This insightful observation leads one to contemplate the fascinating concept of extraterrestrial bodies entering our planet. The notion that this idea is not entirely implausible gains credibility when considering that one of the most ancient meteorites ever unearthed was discovered in the vast expanse of the Sahara Desert. It has been determined by scientists that this extraterrestrial artifact dates back a staggering 4.6 billion years. Other individuals who had the opportunity to observe the photographs put forth more unconventional speculations. They proposed that the object in question could potentially be an advanced aircraft that had encountered a crash landing on the ground. One key observation they made was that the appearance of the object did not resemble that of a typical rock or a component of the surrounding mountains. Their reasoning behind this hypothesis was that something of such magnitude, which left a skid mark stretching over 40 meters, must have possessed considerable dimensions. Interestingly, astute observers pointed out that the starting point of the skid mark exhibited no indications of a mountain or an elevated region. This prompted some to assert that had the object originated from a mountain, there would have been a conspicuous absence of the mountain itself, accompanied by a noticeable gap. It is worth noting that such omissions cannot be detected in any of the photographs. As of right now, these photographs are still generating discussions online, with people confused as to how such a large structure would be able to slide across the Sahara Desert. Those who put forward the idea of the object moving via the use of ice sheets or wet areas should note that on average, the Sahara gets between 0 and 2 inches of rain per year, although some locations can go without rain for several years. Although this explanation may seem like the most likely answer, it's unlikely that such a large object would be able to move across the sands of Egypt with so little water. Even this theory is disputed among researchers, with some saying that more data is needed, and noting that the stones that have been moved via water are very small, under 20 inches in diameter. The object just photographed in the Sahara Desert measures in at over 84 meters in length. As some have pointed out as well, let's say that this object is a rock. Natural crushed rocks that measure between 10 and 20 inches weigh approximately 1.1 tons per cubic meter, with solid rock measuring in at 2.5 to 3 tons per cubic meter. One individual expressed their curiosity by stating the following: "While I do not necessarily propose a mysterious explanation, it is baffling to consider how an object of such considerable size could be displaced solely by wind or rain. Moreover, there is no mountain in proximity from which this object could have toppled. If the object had originated from the opposite side, where observable mountains exist, we could possibly attribute it to a substantial rock. However, this still does not account for the peculiar occurrence of a rock of such magnitude sliding across thousands of meters on sand. It is one of those perplexing circumstances that becomes increasingly bizarre the more one contemplates it." End quote. It is not uncommon for rocks to exhibit independent movement, and although the sliding rocks in Death Valley are not comparable in size to the aforementioned object, they represent a peculiar phenomenon that has been observed exclusively in this geographical location. The enigmatic Death Valley sailing stones have captivated researchers as they manifest the ability to initiate motion and leave marked trails across the smooth valley floor, all without any apparent human or animal involvement. This intriguing behavior occurs at various times throughout the day, with the rocks commencing their displacement and imprinting long tracks that can stretch over considerable distances or even abruptly change direction by executing a complete turnaround or making precise 90-degree turns. The scientific community has proposed multiple hypotheses to explain this mystifying rock movement. One widely accepted explanation postulates that a delicate balance of unique circumstances comes into play, resulting in the rocks gliding gradually over a subterranean frozen sheet of ice while taking advantage of optimal wind conditions generated by the distinct topography of the valley. Delving deeper into the subject, it becomes evident that the rocky journey is facilitated by the presence of specific conditions. These conditions arise naturally and work in conjunction to allow the stones to exploit the surface of the frozen ice below, acting as a slick track for their gradual progression. Furthermore, the geography of the valley contributes to the creation of favorable wind patterns that exert force upon the rocks, further propelling their movement. The occurrence of these extraordinary phenomena in Death Valley, recorded nowhere else on Earth, has sparked extensive research and investigation into the underlying mechanisms responsible for this fascinating natural spectacle. Scientists and experts continue to explore and analyze various factors, striving to unravel the mysteries surrounding the enigmatic movement of these remarkable sailing stones. Surprisingly, there is a lack of definitive evidence to support the notion of stone movement, as there are no records or direct observations documenting the rock's motion. This absence of proof has led some to speculate that there might be an alternative mechanism at work, giving rise to the concept of ley lines and peculiar electromagnetic phenomena observed at specific locations worldwide. Interestingly, this hypothesis holds considerable merit, as research has indicated that volcanic rock can indeed exhibit electromagnetic properties, much like what has been observed in other parts of the globe. Furthermore, investigations into the phenomenon have disproven the possibility of buoyancy-based mechanisms being responsible for the rock's displacement, specifically based on data from 2014. In addition, additional evidence suggests that the natural materials contained within these stones could possess magnetic properties and could potentially be influenced by electromagnetic forces. When considering all of these factors, it becomes evident that there is a need for further in-depth research to enrich our understanding of this intriguing phenomenon. The mysterious fortress. Archaeologists have recently uncovered remarkable evidence of real-life castles in the sand, constructed by an ancient culture in the Sahara Desert. According to recent satellite images, a significant discovery has been made in southwestern Libya, revealing over 100 fortress settlements belonging to a previously unknown or lost civilization. The ancient settlements, existing from approximately AD 1 to 500, were associated with a highly developed and enigmatic civilization known as the Garamantes. The Garamantes, who exercised their dominion over the region from around the 2nd century BC to the 7th century AD, governed these communities. During their investigation, researchers made a remarkable discovery by examining contemporary satellite imagery, including high-resolution images employed by the oil industry, as well as aerial photographs captured in the 1950s and 1960s. These findings unveiled the presence of fortified settlements, towns, villages, and agricultural lands belonging to the ancient Garamantes civilization. Situated approximately 620 miles, or 1,000 kilometers to the south of Tripoli, the fortresses have been officially identified through the analysis of Garamantes pottery samples that were gathered during a research mission in early 2011. Project leader David Mattingly, hailing from the esteemed University of Leicester in the United Kingdom, expressed his deep astonishment at the remarkable level of preservation observed within the ancient mud brick compounds. The archaeologist shared that despite some slight slumping caused by wind erosion, the walls of these historical sites remain resilient, standing tall at heights ranging from 3 to 4 meters or 10 to 13 feet in certain areas. This enduring state of the walls lends insight into their stability and longevity, even in the face of natural forces. Archaeologists, upon witnessing the meticulous and precisely laid out architecture, could have been in danger of misidentifying the construction as Roman frontier forts due to their striking similarities in design. According to researchers, it is important to note that these sites extend far beyond the borders of the Roman Empire. In fact, they serve as significant indicators of a prominent African kingdom that held immense power and influence. In addition, it was a surprising revelation for the scientists to discover that these sites, consisting of burial grounds and agricultural fields, are densely concentrated in close proximity to each other. In this particular case, it is worth noting that within an expanse of 1.5 square miles, which equates to approximately 4 square kilometers, there existed no less than 10 well-established settlements of a significant size. The existing information regarding the Garamantes primarily stems from archaeological digs conducted at their capital city Jama, located approximately 125 miles northwest of their domain. Furthermore, insights into the Garamantes are derived from ancient Roman and Greek texts, offering valuable accounts that aid in understanding their civilization. According to Mattingly, the perception of the lost lords of the Sahara suggests that they were an advanced and sophisticated civilization. This characterization, as described in National Geographic magazine, highlights their elevated status and intellectual prowess. According to the expert, the society in question can be identified as having advanced in various areas, including metallurgy, the production of high-quality textiles, and the development of a writing system. These significant indicators suggest the presence of a well-organized and highly structured state-level society. According to Philip Kenrick, an archaeologist from the University of Oxford who was not involved in the new research, the heritage authorities in Libya, plagued by a lack of funds, have been unable to carry out field research, resulting in a significant gap in our understanding of the ancient civilization. This financial constraint has hindered their ability to delve deeper into the knowledge and exploration of this rich historical legacy. The recently discovered archaeological findings serve as a profound testament to the ingenious irrigation methods employed by the ancient civilization of the Garamantes. According to the project leader Mattingly, the region under consideration is characterized by a profoundly arid environment found in the Saharan desert, known as hyper-arid. The Garamantes, an ancient civilization, ingeniously tapped into prehistoric water sources by constructing elaborate underground canals. These canals served not only as a means to extract water, but also as a method to cultivate a diverse range of crops. So, what do you make of these mysterious desert discoveries? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.